Holy shit, there are 36 people here. Hey guys, oh, why the fuck is it like that? These guys cutting us off.
So short.
You are short. Let me hold on. Let me finish it. How's everybody doing today? We're running a little behind, so let me change. Is this us? This is us. Oh no, I didn't mean double click it. We'll move this.
Oh, just up.
Right above that.
Oh
no, that was right there. Oh, perfect.
Hey,
perfect. Hey, camera's over here.
Hello.
So how's everybody doing? We got so many people here. Holy shit. I expected maybe 15 people and we already have 36. So shout out to you guys. Really, this is awesome. They're just ranking all 47 at once. We are ranking all 47 at once. He's not doing it at once. Yeah, we're just ranking all 47 at once. We have a list over here on the side that you guys are not able to see. We also have our friend Brody. I think he's off camera, but he's just chilling. He's gonna exist, and then me and Star are gonna rank these teams. This is Star's first time seeing a lot of these teams. We actually were really tired after we got home from dinner last night, so
yeah,
shit, we just passed out. So shit's from mostly this morning. But I want to ask you guys before we get into this, who do you guys think has the most top tier teams? Because there is a correct answer. There is a division that just strictly had the best teams, just outright. And I'm very curious who you guys think that is. And while you guys are here, make sure to leave a like on the video. We have 35 viewers and only 19 likes, and it is free to leave a like on the video, and it helps push us into the algorithm, and that'll be fantastic. Shout out to you for putting this together. Thank you so much, man. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to get a community like this together. I've really been appreciating it. But so the rundown of how we're going to do this, I guess, because this is going to be a YouTube video too. I'm going to cut this down. So the rundown of how we're going to do this, you see all of the teams on screen right here. And we're just going to go, and whatever team we're talking about, we're just going to hover over and just look at the Pokemon like that. Not the most professional, I'm sorry, but we got a list on the side. I'm going to say a couple of notes, and then Star and I are going to talk about our opinions, probably no more than 5 minutes per team, because there's 47 teams. There are 47 teams that we have to rank. So there are a shit ton of teams. Everybody's saying Zapdos. Owen, you do have the best team. I got a couple Moltreses. You guys want me to give you the answer yet? Or do you guys... I'm not going to give them the answer yet. No chance. So we'll go ahead. I guess we'll go ahead and start with number 48 if you guys are ready. Number 40 or 47. We're only ranking 47 teams because I'm not ranking myself because I'm obviously first. That's just not fair. You know what I mean?
Okay, normally I'm against John, but no, his team is actually just like the best team possible.
Somebody sign me.
Oh, thank you so much for the subscription. Also, I don't have my headset on, so if I miss anybody subscribing, super chatting, or anything like that, I apologize, but I did catch that one, brother Robbie. Thank you so much for that. If you haven't subbed already, you might as well. You'll point them out for me?
Yeah, because
well, I gotta pull up the notes. It's the only thing.
Oh,
well, we could actually do like this, and we could see this.
We're feeling great. Wait, then we can't see chat.
Then we can't see chat. That's true.
So,
I mean, there we go. That'll work. So we're gonna start with number 47 here. Number 47, we are going to talk about Oh, you have it on to hear the alerts?
I can hear the alerts now.
Okay. Oh, also, while I'm thinking about it, how's the music? How's the music sounding? We looking good? The audio's perfect? Perfect. Fantastic. Thank you, Dashing. Thank you. Oh, the audio is perfect for the subscriptions. Oh, yeah, somebody signed me. As long as John doesn't rank me last. Trey, I got some bad news. We're going to start off at number 47. It's going to be Treyunt. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead and get in here. Number 47, we are going to go ahead and start, is going to be, unfortunately, Ghost Trickster Leo. And I feel bad about this because he's a very active member of the community. I really like the guy. And before we say anything else, I do want to go ahead and say that these rankings are not reflective of how I think you're going to do or how you are as a player, just how I think your team is. I do have notes I'm going to talk about for all of them, but we're going to have this guy last. And you made a happy noise because his name is a Yu-Gi-Oh name.
It is a Yu-Gi-Oh name.
Yeah, he pointed that out to me.
I love the name. Yeah, no, Ghost Tricks. Ghost Tricks are kind of cool.
Yeah, I did the pick your favorite Pokemon thing, and he picked like 9 ghost types or whatever it was. Yeah. And I asked him, I was like, is that why your name's Ghost? And he told me it was for Yu-Gi-Oh. So I was like, Star's gonna like this guy. But
yeah,
unfortunately, so the notes I have for your team, I don't even need to look at them. Like Bestmon Corviknight is where unfortunately we went wrong here. Corviknight's a fantastic Pokemon, fantastic glue piece, and I do agree it should be valued pretty high in post-home Paldea decks. But you can't get away with it being your best mon. And then you have Second Dondozo. Like, you have good Pokemon, you have good pieces, but you don't have a top tier threat that you're supporting with these Pokemon. What do you think, Star?
So, yeah, no, I agree with all of that. So the issue is that there's like not only is there like a lack of just like a big hitter, you don't have a big name, but you also just not have cohesion within the team itself. So it's not like you drafted a lot of hazards. There's like just a ton of hazards. So maybe if you could make some transactions for a lot more momentum-based mon, so you can start whittling teams down. I think that would bring you a lot of benefit. So perhaps maybe changing Dondozo, and probably like Gothitelle, because you don't really want to be trapping Pokemon if you want them to be forcing switches. They're pretty counterintuitive, so opposite strategies.
Oppo said he can't hear music. Oh, I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. I'm turning it up to like 7 out of 100. It was at 3. Let me know if you hear it now. But yeah, like I think you have really good support pieces. I just don't think you have breakers. You just don't have breakers. You have Iron Leaves. Iron Leaves is cool, plus Pincurchin is cool, and Halucha is cool, but it's just you don't have a top tier threat that people are gonna have to prep for every single week. So unfortunately, we are gonna have to rank you last. And I'm gonna keep looking over here on accident, by the way, because we moved my webcam so it could get Star in there. Could you say what division they're in as well? That is a fantastic suggestion, Corey. So Ghost is in the Articuno division. So you guys took the longest to draft, and you also are in last. What's up with that, guys?
Come on, man.
Come on, man. We need a little bit better there. And then, so we'll move on to number 46. We'll just go right through here. Like I said, not going to spend too much time on each one. Number 46, we are going to have, let me see what division they are in. I think they're over here. They're in Zapdos? Oh, they're in Zapdos. So unfortunately, Apple, we are going to be ranking you. Why is it not? Oh, here it is. Here it is. You can see his team over here. We're going to have to change it a little bit whenever the teams are a little.
Control plus.
Control plus.
Yeah, zoom in a little. Just go right.
Oh, good. Good suggestion. Okay, so Apple is going to be up next. Unfortunately, round 1 Regieleki and round 2 Gyarados isn't going to get you too high on the draft list. You have best mons Dragonite and Lilligant Hisui, which those mons are good. Those mons are good, but Dragonite has no Terra, and you chose not to Terra Lilligant, which I'm not saying Terraing Gyarados was the wrong decision, but you don't have, much like the previous team, any top tier Pokemon. You have decent Pokemon. Gyarados is cool. Dragonite is cool. Even Azelf is a Pokemon that you have to prep for, but there's no Pokemon that immediately you have to be super worried about.
Yeah, okay, so when I first see this team, I immediately think that's like, oh wow, if you could Terra any mon into any type, wow, you're top tier crazy. But unfortunately, it's like everybody's fighting for the Terra spot, even though I'm pretty sure 2 of them are Terra banned by the points.
Yeah.
So like, I think Gyarados is one of the best Terra, like, just abusers if you're not looking at the top tier mons. I used it once before, and like, you chose great typings for it. I would almost say that instead of flying, electric is a little bit better. But that's just nitpicking at this point. But I do really, I really like your idea. It's just that perhaps maybe some of your other support mons don't really get you there. Like Blissey's not gonna help you win any games. You're really relying on Gyarados being able to sweep every game.
Yep.
And so as soon as you run into like a bulky water, hence electric, you're really gonna struggle, because like when there's a Regieleki on screen, you kind of just swap into your ground type.
Yeah, straight up. And I saw somebody in chat say that Apple said before he is primarily a VGC player, which totally makes sense. Again, we're not hating on these teams by any means, and the fact that we're calling these people bad. It's just this team, objectively in draft, is not a very good team. And I'm sure Apple will learn as he goes on. This is probably his first draft league. You know, it is what it is. But round 1 Regieleki in standard, in singles draft league, not going to get you there, unfortunately. So that was in Zapdos division. I don't remember if I said that. But next up, why did this one zoom in too? Next up, we are, man, I got to go to the notes on this one. I feel bad about this one. And this dude is going to scream at me. He's one of the most active members of the community, and I really do appreciate him, and I hate having to rank these people this low. Trey, man, we got to talk. You have Annihilate Iron Moth, and that start is horrifying. This is the first 2 Pokemon you have are fantastic, both good Terra options. I don't fault you for doing Terra Annihilate by any means. Iron Moth could have done it as well, but those 2 mons are fantastic. It's just the support pieces that you followed it up with. I'm a little confused and a little lost as to what these Pokemon do on the team. Like Bisharp is your Steel, and you mitigate that a little bit with Terra Steel Annihilate, which is really, really cool. But your team has a lot of weaknesses. And like the notes I have for you, Moth for Fairies and Terra Water Ape to set up on the bulky waters is really cool. But then you pick mons not because they did anything for you on your team, but just because they kind of look cool. Like Jolteon is a cool Pokemon to like help break waters, and so is Breloom, but were those the best options available? Probably not.
Yeah, actually, I'm proceeding to chat. Yubby had a really good point. So a bad team can become really good with just like 1 or 2 transactions. I 100% agree. I think this team right here is so close to being just really good. It's just like, okay, I'm a big Bisharp hater. Even though it got a Violite, it's still not bulky enough to truly, you know, sit there and be your Steel type. And it's also your Dark type. So if you run into a matchup where you need to bring your Steel and your Dark, well then it feels nice to bring one Mon, but then when that one Mon is getting wheeled down because it can't recover in any way, you're kind of struggling. Mm-hmm. I love a lot of these Mons, by the way. Like, this is really close to a team that I drafted once.
No surprise there.
It's 88 goals. I had Regidrago and I had Braviary Hisuian. I think both of those Mons are really, really good. I almost don't think Regidrago is good on a Annihilate team because, again, you're fighting for the same Terra Captain. It's really tough to find it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know.
We cut out.
Did we cut out?
That's the F's from. Maybe, I think.
No, he gets from Trey. Yeah, from Trey. So yeah. Again, shout out to Trey, man. You have been awesome in this community. You've been such an active member, and I really do appreciate you. But you got 2 Pokemon on your team, straight up. And
Strapper's base though.
Anyway, he got sniped a lot, so it is what it is. There are a hell of a lot of snipes that can happen in Paldea decks, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. So
one final note is that I would say you don't have a single bad Pokemon on your team. None of these guys are just straight up bad. Maybe Jolteon's bad, but it's just there's no cohesion within them. So I think maybe like, I don't know. I think like a good Scarfer would get you like a long way. You only really have Staraptor right now as a good Scarfer. Maybe Iron Moth if you wanted to, but I do think an extra Scarfer would just bring you home. Maybe cut the Jolteon, get a 6-pointer. That could Scarf.
The Jolteon hitter right over here.
It's true.
Also, by the way, we've somehow hit fucking 50 viewers. So shout out to you guys. You guys are amazing. If you have not already, be sure to leave a like. It helps push out the video. It shows me a lot of support. And if you haven't already, you might as well leave a subscription. Only 20% of my viewers are subscribed. Fun fact, you know that?
Oh, I did not know that, but...
Give Jolteon Weather Ball back? I love Weather Ball.
Give Jolteon Weather Ball back. That's fire.
I love Weather Ball.
I love
Big Weather Ball, guys. So... next up, let's see here. So he was in Articuno division. For those of you keeping track, that is 2 of the bottom teams in Articuno division. So nobody's surprised by that. The John division. Let's find the next guy here.
Bird too. Come on, guys.
Okay, the next team here is going to be. Let's see if it shows up on the screen. It doesn't actually show up on the screen. So yeah, let me really quickly move this over just a little bit. That's not the right one, I think. Is it? Is this the right one? Oh, the Elgato was showing, so that might have actually just helped some stream lag. Here we go. Okay, unfortunately, another active member of the community. I don't know how to say your name. Khaki. I'm not sure. I'll say Khaki for right now. But you've been another active member of the community, and let me just say, my notes for your team is if this was a VGC draft, your team would be fantastic, right? Like you had first Montinglu, which in Draft League is unfortunately not the best, but then you have some good pieces around it like Meowscarada and Zoroark, Grimmsnarl. Again, like if this was a VGC draft, this team would be fantastic. None of these, similar to all of these bottom teams, you don't have a great #1 option, and I'm not sure how good in singles Terra Tinglu really is.
I agree with that, actually. Got a new subscription.
Woo! Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so this team, honestly, it's got a bunch of hitters, but a lot of sleepers too. I think Volcanon's really good this gen, since a lot of the waters just aren't as good in Paldea decks. They're just not as good, straight up. And I ran into that issue recently, where Volcanion, on paper, you just run Specs Modest and it kills everything. Sandy Shock's also really good. Gyarados, really good. Palmot, I think, really good. I agree with the Tinglu is okay as a Terra, but... like, you could have probably gotten away with Terra Gyarados, and I think that would move your team up maybe like 2-3 slots. I think that's like such a really helpful thing to know. Mm-hmm. And I would also say get yourself a real fighting resist. Yeah, you are severely lacking a fighting resist.
Yeah, you're gonna have to switch into Zoroark to a lot of those. Yeah, no, that was a good point. I didn't even write that one down. So, again, we have not seen a Moltres squad yet. Yes, Aurora, you are right. Moltres is actually going strong right now with no bottom tier teams so far. So shout out to you guys for doing so well. That is 3 Articuno teams so far, and I actually think the next one is also an Articuno team. I'm almost positive.
Yeah. We by the way, no, I don't think we have a graphic for the end.
No, there will be an edited video though. Yeah. There will be an edited video of this that will look a whole lot better. This was just something I wanted to do while Star was here, since he knows a little bit about Pokemon. So I got
great takes.
He has horrible takes, but I thought it'd be cool.
Sweet Electrode, that mon's crazy. That guy's crazy.
All right.
That one's crazy.
All right. Anyway, so next up we're gonna have another Articuno member. Our Armenia is going to be next up, and let me see what the notes were for this one. So second best mon Gengar is really tough. I see the Cyclizar being prioritized because of rapid spin, but I don't necessarily understand taking it over like an actual second option. I don't understand Chestnut in the second round. I think Landorus is fantastic, but the problem with this team is that Landorus is really going to have to carry a lot of these games, right? You don't have a great fairy resist because Gengar doesn't really switch into fairies, and you took steel type Lucario, which is a little bit of a tough look. So Arcanine is really gonna have to be your fairy resist there, and your hazards are a little weak because with this team composition, you're just straight up never gonna be able to run rocks on Lando. It's just impossible. Lando's gonna have to be your breaker. If you ever are able to run rocks on Lando, I would be surprised. It pains me to rank a Lanad team this low because Lanad is a fan favorite, but I'm also, the last note that I have is I am a little curious as to why no Terra Ground Lando, why we went Water Fire. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, okay, so I assume the Terra Fire is in order to be the grass types better, but at that point you could just do Terra Flying as a stab, you know, it's a double stab, and then you actually gain a flying move. Also, so I used Lucario one time, and I think Lucario is incredibly solid as an offensive piece. But on your team, you have no momentum. Your momentum is Landorus, who should be clicking buttons to break rather than U-turn. And then it's Cyclizar, Cyclizar is a good pivot, and I guess it also Rotom. But I think your team would really benefit because you have so many of these just hard hitters, but you need to get them in some way, and they're not bulky enough to just come in every time. You know, Gengar, not bulky. Azumarill, bulky, but if you bring offensive, well, it's not going to be the bulkiest. Lucario, not bulky. Lycanroc, not bulky. So you just have no way of like pivoting around very easily. You're gonna be kind of on the back foot until you can. You're gonna have to basically be on the back foot until you can find one good prediction to put yourself in the driver's seat. It's a very hit or miss team, I'd say.
I agree. I want to say again. I just want to, for everybody coming in, this is not indicating how many wins we think this person is going to get. You can have a bad team and win games, and if you don't believe me, go check out Amo. Straight up, you can win games with a bad team. So this is just strictly what we think of the team and how the team in a draft league setting really functions on paper rather than in practice. So get Brody on cam. All right, Brody, come here.
On camera?
Yeah, they're asking for the Brody cam right here.
Up?
So
Brody, how do you feel about this team?
Yeah, Brody, could you just give a brief analysis of this team? Can we all get some Brody hype in chat?
Honestly, Terra Lando, I love it.
Yeah.
I like Terra Ground because honestly, it just blows through teams.
Well, they're not Terra Ground.
I know, but I'm just saying, Terra Ground blows through teams. Water's good, fire's good for the most part. I love Arcanine.
Okay, go sit down. I forgot how biased you are.
Arcanine is like his favorite Pokemon.
It is his favorite Pokemon. It is his favorite Pokemon. Okay.
Also, please never say Naked Rotom again, please. I never want to say that ever again in my life.
Who said
Never say
that?
that again.
All right, let's find this next guy. So the next guy, dude, Articuno stays losing. Holy shit.
Dude, come on, dog.
Come on, Articuno. Come on, Articuno.
Come on, guys.
You guys took the longest to draft, and here we are.
Bro, you had so much
having
extra
the worst
time.
teams, man. What's going on? You guys really thought about how to draft the worst teams possible. Come on, guys. So the next team up that we are going to have is going to be the Blood Hungry Beedus with Dan. Round 2, Toxapex is going to do this to a man. Unfortunately, Toxapex lost most of its moves and is not viable in a draft league setting. It's like a last-ditch effort for a bulky water type. I do like a Spothra plus Heatran and Hoopa. I think those three Pokemon are really cool together. Unfortunately, much like all the teams here at the bottom section, Spothra really just... With non-free Terra, a Spothra really isn't a number one option on a team. You don't really have a number one option. I like things like Lilligant, getting momentum into things like Hoopa to break, and I really like Hoopa paired with a Spothra. Actually, I think on paper, Hoopa breaks the Darks for a Spothra, which is fantastic because the Darks want to switch into Hoopa, and Hoopa does massive damage to them, and then a Spothra will have a little bit easier of a time late game. And I like Zapdos. The momentum with Zapdos to break those waters is fantastic, and Zapdos plus Heatran is fantastic. But again, you just have a lot of really fine Pokemon, no top tier hitter. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So I think you. Okay, I'm gonna make a guess, and I would say that you're probably a Smogon player just by looking at the viability of all of these mons in drafts compared to Smogon. So like you have so I don't know how you got Zapdos that late and then Regieleki this early. Those two, like if they swapped positions, it would make a lot more sense. I would say that I don't like Hoopa, but I think with Terra it's probably fine. But since you already have Terra Spathra, you're running just regular Hoopa, and that's also your Dark type. So, you know, if you run into like a physical mon where you need your dark, you're not gonna look too good there.
Yeah, and he confirmed he's a OU ladder player, so that makes sense.
That
like,
makes a lot of
this makes sense again. Like this makes sense. You're a first time draft player. Like this whole team makes sense then immediately. Actually,
exactly. Yeah,
exactly.
That was my first thought. I looked at it, seems like damn, that's just OU's like fever dream, getting all of these guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, in drafts where you're able to prepare for a tox effects. So rather on the ladder, sometimes you're not gonna run taunt as often on a lot of mons unless it's like a like a Lando. Like a bulky Lando set. However, in this, you can see the mon. You see what's gonna be there, and so everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna run taunt for the pecs. Oh, I'm just gonna run substitute on my water type, and then I'm just gonna sweep.
And I'm not gonna get toxic behind this up, just straight up, because you can't do damage. So like if this is your first draft and you're an OU player, then this team does make sense. Like I get it, like no fault to you. So
I like the Lilligant, by the way. I think Lilligant's actually really solid in drafts.
I'm excited to see it used. I think it's a good pivot on this team, is what it is. I really do. But that was number 43. We're gonna go ahead and move on to number 42 here. I'm just gonna start control Fing, so you guys are gonna see who is in last. I think we have another Zapdos fellow here. So it's still no Moltres, which is insane. So the next person here is gonna be Pikatron, who is in Zapdos. So let me pull up my notes for Pikatron here. The team is definitely interesting. I think first round Glow-King isn't the furthest reach in the world. I think it's fine when you're close to back wheel. Enamorus is definitely a good pairing with this, and I see that you made it Terra Water. You understand that you didn't have a bulky water, right? So you made it Terra Water, which is fine. I do think that I would have rather you get a bulky water and then make it Terra Ground. I think your team would be a hell of a lot more threatening in this instance then, and I like Dougie in the sense that it's able to trap the steel types that your team doesn't like at all. The ground types, or not the ground types, the steel types, just the steel types. I like that it traps the steel types for you that you really don't like. I think round 4 was a little bit of a reach, and I think round 3 cycles are. This man really valued his rapid spin. Valued his rapid spin. Modem for the secondary, or not modem. I wrote down modem. Heat rotom. Oven rotom is cool for a secondary fairy resist. This team kind of picks and choose Pokemon that don't really fit their roster. Like you are just throughout up and down the roster, other than Glow-King, you are immensely weak to fairy, and you have steel type Berserker, which is a little bit tough.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of these teams on the lower end, you can see a commonality is that a lack of like good ability to pivot around and get good momentum going. A lot of the time on this team, since you don't have that bulky water to kind of like cushion the fall of a lot of mons, you're gonna make a lot of predictions, and you're gonna take a lot of unnecessary chip on a lot of guys that you maybe wanted to preserve some HP on. Like for example, Crocodile. You might be switching into like a normal type with Crook because it's in Tim, but then your Crook's taking a bunch of extra damage. So it's like it's okay. I think I really like the Basque Legion on your team though. I think it really complements the Enamorus. Just being able to break really, really well.
I wish it was bulkier for you. I just do.
I do. I also agree with that. I think like an offensive water with a defensive water is like really, really nice. But yeah, like John said, I think Terra Ground over water would have been better with an Enamorus if you could have gotten a water type. I will breathe and die on the Braviary Hisuian train. However, I don't think you need the double psychic here. I think Braviary is a really cool mon.
And double flying.
Oh, and double fly. Yeah, that mon can just take it out and replace with a water type. I think you'd be doing a lot better. So my recommendation would be to drop Braviary, maybe Berserker, and Glastrier. Glastrier is 6 points, but you're not going to bring it too often, especially if you're not Terra. So you're going to have to use those points and try to find yourself a water that you could use, maybe like a Gastrodon type of mon. Maybe not Gastro because you have double ground, but something like that would probably do a lot of help.
Yeah, no, I really do wish Basque Legion was just bulkier for you, man. We're gonna find the next one, not in Zapdos. We have our first. No, never mind. Still Articuno.
Oh,
some bitch. Articuno. So Mountain is gonna be the next one up here. Let me pull up my notes for Mountain. Team does look fun. I will not lie, the team does look pretty fun. Great Tusk, Walking Wake Sun is an insane combo, and I don't know how you got it that late. I keep looking over here. Walking Wake Sun, Great Tusk, insane combo. Don't know how you got it that late. Enamorus, you chose the right Terra types, I think, especially for this team. Your Ice Resist and Fairy Resist is Fortress, and that is not good. You're gonna bring Fortress, and I want you to be prepared. If you are going to want to win games, Fortress is gonna come to pretty much every damn game. And that means that you've pretty much got 4 mons locked in, 5 mons locked in every single week. Fortress, Walking Week, Torkoal, Enamorus, and Great Tusk. You can switch out one of those every now and then, but those 5 are pretty consistently going to come to every single game. I think you need some sort of bulky water. I think that is really what this team is lacking at this point.
Fortress stand.
Okay, so I have beef with you because this team looks like it should be like top 15. It really does. However, you have a Fortress on it. I think outside of Fortress on this, I think this team's like heavily underrated. I disagree with John on this one. I really.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Where's the ice resist? Where's the ice resist?
But I think this team, like we said earlier, is one transaction away from being really, really solid.
Yeah.
I think if you changed Articuno Galar, specifically Articuno Galar, to an ice resist, like a water type, like just a secondary water, your team is like top 15. Like this team, I haven't seen all the teams, but I'm basing top 15 because like you have everything. You have great offense. You got really good bulk. You got removal and double spin. You have a good dark type. You have everything. I really, really disagree with John on this. This team looks crazy outside of the Articuno, the Galar.
Specifically, you're an Articuno hater right here.
Well, and the guy underneath it. But
yeah,
I think if I like Articuno Galar, but if you changed it into a water or like to a secondary water, even if it's like only like a lower tier one, like just one that's mediocre, I think this team shoots way up in the ratings.
That's true.
Because you still have Walking Wake. You only have to worry about the matchups with a good offensive ice types, which aren't really that common in this gen. So, no, there's really not.
Chien-pao and Bax Caliber would like a word.
Those two. That's it. It is specific.
Don't forget about Mamoswine. All right, moving on.
Rest in peace, Mamo.
Rest in peace, Mamoswine. Next up, we're gonna have. I think this guy is in Zapdos. I think Moltres lives another day.
By the way, I hate Fortress
Yeah.
because Pineco is my favorite Pokemon, and when he evolves into Fortress, Pineco doesn't get body press for some fucking reason, and they gave it to Fortress for no damn reason. They should have just gave Pineco body press as well.
That's an argument for another day.
I just hate Fortress.
Next up is going to be Waihi, and this team is really interesting because they don't have a top tier Pokemon. They did not take a round 1 Pokemon. They took Urshifu Rapid, which is interesting. If they would have Terra'd it, I would have not necessarily disagreed with it. I don't know. There's definitely always better options than Urshifu Rapid round 1. But they decided to Terra Tyranitar, which I think is super weird because you lose the Spadef boost, you get hurt by Sandstorm. I don't really understand it, but this team is interesting because while it doesn't have a top tier Pokemon, it does have 4 really good second options for a team. It has Urshifu, Thundurus, Gengar, and Corviknight, all of which are usually good second options. Like if any of these could have went round 2 and I wouldn't have batted an eye, and you got all 4 of them, which are really good. I think those 4 are going to have to come every week though. The team otherwise doesn't really mesh super well.
The team is so slow.
Yeah.
So slow. Everything's so slow, and you're really weak to fighting. Like really weak to fighting here. Like Corviknight, like if somebody finds a mon that can just like go +1 attack, literally just +1, like a bulk up, like Zapdos Galar on the team to the left, you're done. Like I think you just get cooked. Like it just bulks up once, and then like it clicks close combat on the Corviknight, and then clicks close combat again, and then close combat again, and then close combat again.
Hold on, one second. Shout out to Odds Are for the $5 donation. Let's go. Let's get some hype for Odds Are in the chat.
Guys,
Thanks, Brody.
if you guys donate $5 or more, we will get you on stream right now, just like Brody.
Just like Brody. Come on over here, Brody.
Yeah,
Look at this.
This is
This is what $5 gets you, straight up. We'll fly you out.
Oh.
No expenses paid, though. Thank you, Brody.
No problem.
All right, continue what you were saying, I guess, Star.
Yeah, I guess. No, also, why didn't Tyranitar?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think Tyranitar, like, I would have I think Garganacl's a better Terra, I think Wo-Chien's a better Terra, and I think Urshifu's a better Terra.
Wo-Chien. Well,
Yeah.
I think
Somebody
what about
sign
Thundurus?
me!
You can't sleep on Thundurus.
Oh, that's also fair. Yeah, so I think, like, Tyranitar's, like, your 5th or 6th best Terra option, because, like, Tyranitar just being a Dark type, and with the Sand is enough. That is Tyranitar's role.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you got to do with it. So I really think you do well if you change your Terra type, and then I don't know, get you some offense, brother.
Get you some Pokemon.
That's what I'm
straight
saying.
up.
Get you some Pokemon.
You got Venomoth, Cloudster, and Pikachu sitting down there. And Venomoth's not bad, but you got 3 poisons. Why is Venomoth here?
Yeah, Venomoth's like 8 points. God damn, yeah.
That's a pricey Venomoth.
Yeah,
I will
like,
not lie.
He's good, but like not that good.
All right.
Hold on.
Next person is again in Zapdos. Dude,
Okay.
I cannot stand that Moltres is gonna do this. I want you guys to be prepared. I think we're gonna have like 9 Moltres in a row here in a second. So next up is gonna be Blue. Can we see it on screen?
Yeah.
They're banning Brody behind a paywall. Next up is gonna be Blue. So I have some issues with this team. I think if you would have started with 5 Pokemon that just worked so well in conjunction with one another. Walking Wake, Torkoal, Slitherwing, Volcanion, Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is a little weird here, but I do think it's a little underrated because it helps Slitherwing set up and it helps Walking Wake take a hit and not get OHKO'd by something and live a little bit longer. So that was fine. Decidueye also fine, but then you switched up and you went to a Rain team. I'm not sure why you did not just fully commit to the Sun team, because you would have had a very good Sun team if you would have just fully committed, but you kind of shifted gears and you went to a Rain team that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and then your support pieces outside of your top 6 don't really make sense. I don't really agree with Pelipper, Basculegion, obviously don't agree with the Rain strat. I don't like Revavroom as the steal on this team, I don't think, because you're already so weak to ground, and then you get something that's going to die to any ground move ever. Sandaconda is fine, I guess, and Electro's fine, I guess, but not the pieces that I really wanted to see round out this draft.
Okay, I was like, wait, this team looks pretty good, you know? Like,
Yeah.
wow, top five, hell, even top 6. But I think Decidueye is a good Pokemon.
Yeah.
I think Decidueye is really good. And then I saw Pelipper. And I saw Pelipper's price, 11, dude? There's no good Rain Sweepers. Like, your best Rain Sweeper is Basculegion. But, like, why have, like, the Rain? Like, I understand the Rain, but, like, are you gonna bring Torkoal? Like, you want to look at, like, I assume your process is like, oh, they need to prep for not only bringing their water checks, but also the fire checks, you know? But the issue is that you also have 23 less points now to check their good mods. That's like kind of the area I'm at right now. Because, like, yeah, Volcanion and Walking Wake are both good in water or in rain as well, but they're also really good in sun. You don't need both. It's win more. So I think I would drop Pelipper and Basculegion.
Bless you, Brody.
And just get just try to get yourself some more some key pieces just to kind of shift around. Maybe if there's another steal on the board, drop Revavroom as well, and then you can pick up a poison, and then you kind of just like fill out your draft. It feels an underdeveloped draft after the first 6.
Yeah, I feel like you should. I really do feel like you should have just committed.
Shout out to Electrode though.
But Electro's not needed on this team.
Shout out to
man.
Electrode.
Straight up.
Grimmsnarl gets parting shot.
Grimmsnarl does get parting shot, which is cool, but it doesn't change the fact that there's a Rain team.
Correct. Yeah, but it does help get into Walking Wake easier.
Okay, let's see. This next guy, I think, is Moltres. I think this is the first Moltres guy. Yeah. All right, boys. Moltres.
This is an Abomasnow.
Moltres. Moltres has fallen. Here we go. First Moltres team. We are going to be FLZM. I'm not sure if there's like a different way to pronounce that or not, so that's how I'm going to say it. So we have Walking Wake, Espathra, Torkoal, and then kind of just some Pokemon after that. So let me pull up my notes here. It's a fine Sun team. Wigglytuff does kind of bring the team down just by being on the team. You do have a good breaker to complement Espathra, which I think is something that is needed in Walking Wake. I think Walking Wake plus Espathra is interesting. I'm also just now realizing you did not Terra your Espathra, and if I would have realized that, you actually would have been a little bit lower. I'm not going to lie. Outside of that, though, the team does have a lot of non-breakers. You don't have really any breakers outside of Walking Wake. You have Brute Bonnet, which is an underrated breaker for sure, especially in Sun, but then your Pokemon are kind of just weak after that.
What number is this?
This is... Oh, did someone ask?
Yeah, I asked.
This is number 38. We are on number 38.
Okay. So, I'm just gonna say it. Walking Wake's taking L's left and right now, dude. This guy has just been both of these teams back to back are Walking Wake teams. I think Walking Wake's just really like hard to build around, and like it's like you had to build a Sun team, but you can't commit fully to Sun because I think that's a very one-dimensional thing to do. So I would honestly, my biggest advice is drop Regieleki. Stop drafting Regieleki.
Stop drafting Regieleki. No Terra.
It's not good. Also, you should change. You have 3 mons that really, or not even 3, 2 mons that really want your Terra. And this goes to everybody. Everybody right now. I don't like Terra, but I think when you look at your Terra captain, if you have one of them, you need to look at their initial viability first and how much better they get after they Terra. So Walking Wake already is solid as a breaker and just a sweeper. But you don't need to tear it into a water type. Water Dragon is a very, very good typing. It's incredible. Like, Kingdra ran early gens. He just smoked every early gen. This is just the modern Kingdra. So, just bring it back. Don't think I need to win more. Make it so your Espathra can actually win games. Or, hell, even Garganacl. Garganacl at the bottom right there, if you tear at him, nobody breaks Garganacl. You just break the rest of the team to the point where Garganacl needs to be sacked.
Yeah. Yeah, and I am going to be honest, guys. I'm sorry to all my Articuno and Zapdos folks. I did not realize a Spothra was not the Terra. If that was the case, this team would 100% be lower. So I apologize to all you guys who are getting hyped about Moltres. You guys actually are not the best, and here's why. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. This is going to be number 37. Wake is good, Sun and Nasty. This gen, yeah, exactly. It just doesn't have very good breakers. Lucky is good even without Terra. January, I'm going to actually ban you if you keep giving my chat some bad takes. So let's watch out.
Come on, dog.
Let's watch out.
Ain't no way we're saying that I'm good.
Let's see. This next guy, another Moltres. We have 2 Moltres in a row. I told you guys, it's about to be like 9 Moltres in a row.
Kingdom Falls.
The Kingdom Falls. Let's see if they're even on the... I gotta move it, I think, yeah.
El Ricky.
El Ricky. Okay. That's why we call him January. Okay, next up, we are gonna have IUX Panda. And there are a lot of faults with this team, but there are also a lot of good things with this team. That's kind of where we're getting to now. We're getting to the teams that are kind of like a 5 out of 10, a 6 out of 10, like decent enough teams that have some stuff, but they fail at a couple of categories. And the main thing with this team, you look at the bottom half of this team, and there is no bottom half of this team. The support pieces don't make a lot of sense. The Terra on Ceruledge is interesting, and if you want to try it, then fantastic, but you have 2 Pokemon at minimum that would appreciate it more in both Thundy and Hoopa Unbound. Even Rillaboom might be interesting, but Ceruledge is arguably better than that. No Steel type is very, very unfortunate for this team. With no Fairy Resist, Lone Dug Trio does not count, by the way. And the removal is very limited with Avalugg. And yeah, I guess that's kind of where I stand with the team. You have good breakers, you have good momentum. Top 4 Pokemon are great, but bottom half's not the great though.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm gonna be a little bit less charitable here. I think only breaker. I think breaking is the only thing that you have going, which you have really good breakers. But other than that, like you don't really have like the best support piece. I think Florges is a solid support piece. But Goodra, I love Goodra. It's my favorite pseudo. However, it doesn't do anything in draft. It really doesn't. It is not. It doesn't have good recovery. I think it's hydration rest with rain dance. That's just not cutting it.
I feel like it's only really good on like hard balance teams.
I agree. And this team has like a bunch of breakers and then not the best cushions to fall back on. Avalugg is not good. Halucha by himself, I guess.
Rilla, yeah.
Just Rilla, but like I love Halucha, my first ever mascot. But I don't think he's I don't think he's worth 12 points. And then Dug Trio, it doesn't do anything. And Quillfish Hisuian, that's a great value pickup.
That is a great value
pick. I really like Hisuian Quillfish here. But other than that, I really think you should be getting yourself some win cons. Palafin to me is like your only real win con here. Everybody else wants to either be like Bandit or Scarf. Like Rillaboom, Bandit or Scarf. Thundy, Scarf or Boots. You know, like Ceruledge. Maybe that's a setup win con. Other than that, I think you're kind of lacking on that.
Yeah, and someone in chat asked, is Rillaboom even worth 10 after losing Clyde and so much else? That's a great question. Realistically, maybe not, but it still does have good stats. It's still a good pivot. Still pretty bulky. It has momentum. Like, it's still not a bad Pokemon. And terrain, of course, terrain is just so good on so many teams. So probably just that alone makes it worth 10 points.
I think it's barely worth 10 points.
Yeah, it's probably hovering over there. So. Yeah, and Stomping Tantrum. It lasts a lot. It really did last a lot.
Oh, really quick for that last team. I want to give like advice to every team on like what you could do. I think your team would be great if you got a good spiker, good hazards. It would be so much better. It would help your team infinitely more if you just had some more. Like, if you had more spikes.
Holy shit. We're at 64 viewers. This is peak viewers. If you guys have not already, be sure to leave a like on the video. We're almost at 50 likes. Helps push us into the algorithm. Helps grow this community even more. And if you haven't joined the John Jr. Discord server for whatever reason, go ahead and join, and you can follow with these matches every single week. And you might as well subscribe while you're here, man. You're obviously enjoying it. You're sticking around, so straight up. Our next team is going to be Bleedle at number 36, who is going to be of the Articuno division. Articuno taking L's left and right, man. This is just tough look for Articuno. So we are going to have a bundle of Cinderace, King Gambit, and then some support pieces that I don't necessarily get. I like King Gambit. I am always interested to see how it's used with Terra because I don't necessarily know what the best 2 types are in draft. I think it's pretty up in the air depending on what team you have. Bundle plus Cinder is really cool and really tough to switch into, and I like the momentum between those 2 and the coverage of those 2 offensively. And you have really good top tier speed tiers with things like Kilowattrel too, which will help you break the waters that you are going to struggle with, but you are going to struggle with waters. Bulky waters are going to kind of get in your head a little bit, be able to kind of sit on you. You're going to really rely on Kilowattrel, which maybe isn't a bad thing, man. I did that for a while, and it was a really good Pokemon. And the big thing with this team, I think, for me, is you have a lot of pivot and you have a lot of really strong Pokemon, but you don't have really any setup options to win games. You don't have any Pokemon that can come out and click Swords Dance other than like King Gambit, and put on immediate pressure that way.
Okay, so I'm pogging off because I read the first 3 Mons, and that looks like so much fun.
It doesn't it?
I love
does.
Iron Bundle and Cinderace. Those are 2 of my favorite Pokemon to use. And King Gambit's somebody I want to use. One thing I will say, you don't need Terra Dark on King Gambit, like, because that's like hoping that you win every sucker mind game when you could just be tearing into a fairy type and just beating like every mon. Like, just King Gambit, if it was a fairy type, it's just crazy. So I think if you went Terra Flying, Terra Fairy, you would do really well. I think, again, this is another team where I agree with John, where it's like you need another like real win con. You got good Scarfers, you got good Breakers, but like I would say from Dragalge under, you kind of like they don't have a purpose for the most part. Kilowattrel does, I would say, Breaking Waters, but like Dragalge, I'm gonna say it. I like Dragalge, not very good. Meloetta, not very good. Dashbun, goated, not very good.
No, goated.
Good. Love Bread Dog. And Hariyama and Ursaring. I think Ursaring's good on the team. 5 points is a little steep, but I think that you could really just take some more, maybe like, I don't know, like a better spiker than Quag, maybe. Quag's good, but Quag's always gonna have to pivot in on things, take a hit, and then recover immediately. Quag is forever in purgatory of taking 40% from a hit, recovering with leftovers, and then clicking recover and forcing them out. Forever. He's stuck in that loop. So like I think another spiker would do you well, and then yeah, no, I like the team overall. I think I could see this team winning the entire division. That's like the second team so far we've seen, other than that other team that I disagreed with.
Yeah.
Other than that team, this is easily the best team I've seen so far.
Okay.
I like this team a lot.
That's fair. Next up, we are gonna have, I think, maybe it's Articuno. Oh, it is Articuno. We are gonna have Sandan over here with the mascot pick. With shout out for the mascot pick. I always respect that. Slowking Lando is sick. That's the first 2 great picks, but the team in conjunction. Roaring Moon Lando?
Oh, I think it's Slowking.
I might have said Slowking.
I'm literally
my bad. Roaring Moon Lando is a great 1-2, but then the support pieces around it, I don't necessarily understand. You have Steel and Poison type Reverum. You don't really have a great Fairy Resist into Roaring Moon, which I think is a little weird. And yeah, you are Terra Fire, which can mitigate that a little bit, but I do think not having a Fairy Resist around Roaring Moon is a little weird. I feel like you didn't really build around Roaring Moon. I felt like you grabbed mons that maybe work together lower tier wise, but not really that help get Roaring Moon out there, help get Roaring Moon to a position to win games. It looks like Roaring Moon's more so going to be like a pivot on this team, which I don't necessarily love.
Yeah, 2 things I want to address in chat. We did get a Moltres. Yes, we did. I think we got 2, right? 2 Moltres teams so far?
I think so.
Okay. Also, apparently, Bleedle just dropped an Ursaring for Colossal. God damn it. Okay. Good enough. It's a spiker. God damn it, I liked Ursaring though. Drop somebody else for Ursaring. But I will say, this team, I'm so glad that you're a fan of the Pocket Monsters University and the WPF, because you drafted like you drafted a bunch of mons I did. I have Roaring Moon Landorus as my first 2 picks. I also have Reverum as my Steel type. But that doesn't make our team good, all right? I stand in solidarity. Our team sucks. But I really think you should get more mons that can come to multiple games. Hisuian Typhlosion's not going to come to every game. Reverum is going to have to come to every game, but it doesn't want to. Same with like Dunsparce. It doesn't want to come every game. So I think Iron Hand. I think your mons you're going to bring every game. They're never going to get benched. Is Iron Hands, Roaring Moon, Lando, and probably Floridus, maybe Slowking. So you have 5 that come every game, and then the other ones, they're like maybe once in a blue moon you might want to bring them. I think if you had like one more mon that could like consistently come and put pressure on, like that could maybe swap places with Slowking, because they're both split up walls with Florges and Slowking. They kind of fill the same role. So maybe if you got one more mon instead of like Typhlosion. I just don't think Typhlosion's very good.
I don't know. Not offensively, at least.
Yeah, no. Like, its offense is fine. It's just, like, a real gimmick. Like, if nobody has a fire resist, that's the only good matchup it has the entire season.
Yeah, and you don't want to use it as your fire resist, which you're kind of forced to do with this. Like,
I would say maybe drop Typhlosion and maybe even Dugtrio. You don't really need to trap too much on this team because you're going to be pivoting a lot. So, like, yeah, I would say Dugtrio and Typhlosion could get dropped. You'd have 21 points. And you could really work something big here.
Yo, we hit 50 likes. Shout out to all of you guys for leaving likes on this video. This stream is popping off way more than I anticipated, by the way.
Likes, let's go.
Let's go. we have a concurrent like 50 viewers at least, which is ridiculous. So
let's get 6 more people in here. Get your moms, get your grandmas.
Really big shout out to you guys. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward here. Let me see what number this is. I think we're at 32, 34. Ooh, we're going a little slow here. The next person is gonna be Wombo, who is in Moltres. Let's go. Let's get all those Moltres haters in here.
Another Hisuian Typhlosion, man.
Another Hisuian. People love Hisuian Typhlosion.
I think so.
Move that over. So
it's cool. I'll give you that. It's really
I think it's good offensively. I don't think it's good defensively, obviously.
Yeah.
So speed tiers on this team are really cool. You have Sneasler, Meowscarada, Kilowattrel. Kilowattrel was taken super early, and of course Cleavor. I like those 4 Pokemon a lot in conjunction with one another, but this team, it's kind of not great breakers. Like you have decent. I don't know, man. Like Sneasler's cool, but not really a first overall option. Meowscarada with spike support is definitely cool on this team. You lack a fairy resist, unfortunately, because Typhlosion doesn't count. You have Goodra as your steel type, and then you have Sneasler as your poison type. So you actually simply do not switch into fairy types ever. Fairy types blow you backwards. And you don't really have great ground resists either. Like Kilowattrel was going to be forced to make a lot of uncomfortable switches on ground types, and if they click a rock move, then you're in a really tough spot. Or if they get rocks up, your team obviously doesn't really appreciate rocks. You like Donphan a lot. You have Cleavor, which might be forced to run Boost Defog a couple of times. Donphan's a pretty reliable spinner, but you're going to pretty much have to bring it every single game to force hazards away. So main gripes with this team: no fairy resist, no ground resist really.
Yeah, I think John's definitely right on that. When I look at this draft, it looks like you started drafting in round 2. Like you kind of are dying for another like win con. Your only win con is Sneasler.
Yeah. And
then once in a blue moon where Bandits Meowscarada wins. But like even then, I really think if you just took more time to grab mons that could genuinely put on a lot of offensive pressure, because you have a lot of defensive pressure, like mons that could switch in and then like put on a little bit of pressure. Like Donphan, it's strong, pivots in pretty well. Same with Goodra Hisuian. But like, if you had another mon that just came in and just fucking put in work, like, take off Typhlosion and get yourself like a real mon. You'll have 11 points. I'm sure you could find something for 11.
Biggest Typhlosion haters.
Typhlosion haters over here. Yeah, I think just getting a very good. Literally just find yourself a ground and a fairy resist, and then we can talk.
Yeah, that'd be good. Say. And like I said, your team looks really fun. It looks like a lot of momentum. It's gonna be really cool to see that, but you just lack some resistance, some crucial things. It's not a bad team. You can win games, but it's not the best team either. So we're gonna go ahead and move here. I think they're in Articuno. No, they're not. No, they're not in Moltres. They're in Zapdos. No. Oh, no. Oh, I actually went full screen. No, what's happening?
Pressing every button.
We have Tism over here, who I didn't know this was this guy's name until I did these rankings, by the way. So his team is Iron Bundle, Meowscarada, Arcanine, Hoopa. His team, like on paper, the team doesn't have anything necessarily wrong with it. You have no removal outside of Komala though, which is a little bit of a tough look. And I'm a little bit questioning the random Abomasnow. I assume it's just for Iron Bundle 100% accurate Blizzards, but I'm not 100% sure. And I do like the fact that you Terra Steeled Salamence, because your Steel type is Lucario, but still, like, you're gonna have to get that Terra off, and other than that, you don't have a fairy resist. It's just Muck. Arcanine as well. Arcanine probably is actually not that bad, but most things will probably get ground coverage. I do like the breakers on this team. I think the pivoting with Bundle and Meowscarada into Hoopa is gonna be really good. The pivoting into Lucario, the pivoting into Salamence, I think the pivoting is gonna be good. And now we're at the point where there's nothing inherently wrong with these teams. It's just there are other teams that are better at this point.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think Abomasnow, honestly, Abomasnow is kind of underrated. Now that Hail doesn't chip your own team, it's just a really solid option for Veil. I think Veil is just I think Veil is positioned to be a lot better this gen than it's ever been. Like you just basically get so many more options to bring it in. However, it's still an Abomasnow. I really like your team though. I really like this team. Overall, like you fill a lot of my check marks. You got good offense, good defense. You got a grounded poison. You got your sweepers. I like that. I think your Mence was the best Terra and the best Terra types. But yeah, I think maybe Abomasnow could be something else. I don't have anything bad to say about this team. I think it's just a very good middle of the pack team. Yeah,
it's good, not overwhelming, right? Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be true with a couple of these next teams. The next team, if I do remember correctly, is the exact same thing. Right over here, we're gonna have Bick, who I know is an avid draft league player from Owen's community. So Chiyu, Quaquawa, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna be straight up with you. Star's probably gonna disagree with my ranking of this team.
Chiyu's good, man.
I'm an avid Chiyu hater. I think Chiyu is not the best Pokemon on a team. In 16-man maybe, but I'm just not a big fan of Chi-Yu. But I do like the top 3 that you have: Chi-Yu, Goldingo, and Quaquaval. Even though I'm not good with the Pokemon, I understand that the Pokemon is good. The thing with my team, or the thing with this team, in my opinion, is your speed tiers are really poor. And the big thing, we're going to talk about this later too, because there's a Chi-Yu team that does this perfectly, but the big thing with Chi-Yu is the fact that it always wants to run Scarf. So normally you want to bring some speed around it, or some speed control in some way around it, and you don't necessarily have that. Quaquaval with Aqua Step is a good step in that direction, and Tornadus with Tailwind isn't going to come every week, but again, it's a good step in that direction. But you don't have very many Pokemon to outspeed Chi-Yu. I think it's actually just Tornadus. Yeah, it's just Tornadus. So my thing with Chi-Yu is you definitely want to surround it with speed, so it can be more of that breaker role and not want to be forced into Scarf, which I do feel like on this team it is gonna do that. And also my other gripe with this team is your ground resist are pretty heavily limited. You're kind of relying on Earthworm and Tornadus, but Tornadus that doesn't count.
Serena's good.
Serena sucks. Tornadus as your ground resist is gonna be a little bit tough to switch in.
Wait, hold on. Serena definitely has good bulk.
Serena's taken 75 from a U-turn.
Dude, what are you on about? Have you seen Serena's bulk?
Yeah.
Are you thinking Lurantis?
No, I'm thinking Serena. I'm not thinking about
Lurantis.
Okay.
Anyways, no, so I disagree. Serena's good. But literally, yeah, you drafted John Jr.'s team from BBR, but instead of chien-pao, it's Chi-Yu.
Yeah.
But I will say, that still looks cool. I'm surprised John didn't like it more, because it's a lot of his favorite mons on there.
It is.
But I would say, like, yeah, you guys, I will say one thing I've learned from all of these teams is you guys aren't using your points very well. Everybody has had points left over, I think. Most teams have had on screen right now. I see 3 teams that have points left over, and you have 3 points. You could upgrade your Dunsparce into a 7-pointer, or your Tetris into a 15-pointer. You know, like the jump of 3 points is big in draft. It really is. Serena could be an 11-pointer, dude. What's an 11-pointer? I don't know, dude. I don't know. There's a lot of good mons up in there. I can't think. But yeah, I would say just like use your points and maybe try to fill in some of the gaps that John was mentioning. And I think your team's solid outside of that. Again, this is another team I could see winning. You're forced to bring your top 5 pretty much every game and then fill in the final slot.
Yeah. We've got biggest big fan OG Albina in the chat. Serena is the definition of mid. I 100% agree with that. I think big. I think big. No, Serena, dude. Serena. You know what? It's all right. We'll leave it as it is.
Synthesis?
Yeah, it has synthesis.
Then yes, it's fine.
No, it's not.
It has recovery.
It is not fine. All right, next up, we are gonna have another Moltres. We're gonna be talking about Pep right here. Who, by the way, your start to the team, you couldn't have started better. I don't think. Like the first 2 mons, at least, chien-pao plus Zapdos. I love those 2 pairings. I say you couldn't have started better, but then I see Nick took Tornadus and Heatran, so maybe you could have started better, but this is a really good start. Chien-pao, Zapdos, Galar, and Klefki are all really good picks. Klefki was a smart pick, probably a little early, but you gotta value your Steels and Fairies and Paldea decks, right? So I like Klefki just because it helps Chien-pao set up, on top of the fact that it is one of the few Pokemon that can actually check Chien-pao pretty well. So I like those Pokemon, but I think after that, your team kind of just doesn't really have great support pieces, but those 3 Pokemon in conjunction are probably the best 3 in conjunction that we've had of teams that don't really have support pieces. I also had a note here. I'm not sure how I feel about Terra Salamence on this team, especially without a type to beat Fairies, because that is going to be your biggest struggle with this team. You do not beat Fairies. All of your best mon lose to Fairies. You have Chien-pao, Zapdos, and Salamence, so you might want to change that Terra type if you do keep Salamence as a Terra captain. I'm not even sure how I like it on the team, to be completely honest with you. And then a lot of your support pieces don't make a ton of sense. Like, I don't think Mimikyu belongs on the team. I think you could get a better an actual Fairy resist with Toxicroak. I understand the mouse will pick up for Tidy Up, but I just think it's a lot of Pokemon. Maybe you got sniped a lot. It's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, I would say my biggest gripe with this team is that you don't have a single special breaker. And I don't even think you have a single special Pokemon. I think everything's physical on this team. Yeah, everything's physical on this team.
Toxicroak can run mixed, but Oricorio, I guess. Like all the best ones.
Yeah. So I would say that
Terra is Chien-pao is Terra banned, yes.
Okay, so yeah. So what I would say is what you should do is change your Terra off of Ments and even consider dropping Ments for just a good special Pokemon if there's any left on the board. Because somebody did mention earlier when I was saying use your points better that there's not a lot on the board left. But when I was saying that, I meant more in the draft, during the draft, use your points better rather than post-draft. I would say that, honestly, I know it's kind of juiced, but I do think Wo-Chien is your best Terra captain on this team. Since you already have such a good offense, changing Wo-Chien into whatever bulk you need is always really solid. And like that's like the biggest thing. I have in a league that I'm in right now, OLT. I have chien-pao, Zapdos, and I think they're really good together. You know, Zapdos really complements chien-pao, and so I do like your top two, and then Khaki for the screen's really good. Wo-Chien really good, and then you just have I just think like Mimikyu and Down, or I guess Mimikyu, Oricorio, Toxicroak, and Mousehold could all be like better support pieces to enable chien-pao. You need to enable chien-pao to win the game. Yeah. You're not really enabling it at the moment.
I think one thing too that is worth mentioning up to this point, teams up to this point have had 11 Pokemon every single time. I don't think there's actually been a team without 11 Pokemon, and you guys are able, and I very much should, like, take a look at Nick's team over on the left. His team only has 9 Pokemon. His team's fantastic. I'm gonna spoil it. His team's gonna be towards the top. You don't need 11 Pokemon if you can fill your roles amongst the team, amongst the 9 or 10 Pokemon that you pick. You don't need to pick 11 Pokemon just to have 11 Pokemon. Straight up, you just don't. And I also saw in the chat someone did say Pep got sniped a whole lot, so that does make sense. That the in half does make sense. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to, let's see, this is number 30. We're finally at 30. Holy shit, this is taking forever. But you guys are doing awesome. This is a fantastic stream so far, and I really appreciate each and every single one of you. This team is going to be in Articuno again. Who is surprised? Not me. We're gonna have Lemonade, who is gonna have the San Antonio Espers, Spectrier, Hisuian Samurai, and Arcanine. Spec Samurai is really cool. I'm a big Spectrier fan, and I think the best way to play Spectrier is gonna be Spike Stack, and I think Samurai obviously does that fantastic. I'm not sure about it round 2, but it might have not made it back 2 because there's a lot of hype for Samurai right now. It is a Ghost Resist, and Spectrier, like I said, one of the most beneficial Pokemon when it comes to Hazard Stack. I don't love Mew on this team. I think Mew makes almost no sense because it just shares a lot of weaknesses with Spectrier, and it's just kind of worse. Like, what do you do with it in this team now? You don't have Stall Break from Mew. Maybe you run offensive Mew, but it just kind of clogs a spot. The speed tier's not there. Mew just seemed like it was picked up because the points were available. You know what I mean? And I think past Samurai and how a lot of Mons work super well in conjunction with Spectrier, Terra Arcanine is interesting. I'm curious to see how that goes. With this current team, though, I probably would have been Salamence. I do think Enamorus is a pretty cool pickup alongside Spectrier, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really like it. I like your team. First thing I'll say is Arcanine, instead of doing Terra Fire, you should do Terra Normal. Terra Normal and Terra Water, it's 2 best Terras. Because this one does have E-Speed, right? Or is it just regular Arcanine?
It has E-Speed.
Okay, if it has E-Speed, then yes, Terra Normal is what you should do for sure. Then Terra Water's really good on this mod as well. But outside of that, I think your team is just overall solid. I think Mew is fine just for like being a fighting resist. It's a 14-point fighting resist. It's okay. I don't like Mew very much this gen. I think it's more like a.
And they have the 4 times fighting resist though with Enamorus. You know what I mean?
Like... Yeah, that's true. But like, I guess you can enable your Enamorus to be more of a Calm Minesweeper rather. But I don't see anything like super wrong with the team. Maybe Terra into Mence is better, so you could have another win con. But I think Spectrier's kind of primed to win outside of one thing. I think you should have, instead of getting Samurai Hisuian this early, you should have looked for a strong fighting type. Like hell, the Zapdos last round, that last team, Zapdos would have been great here. You want something to help your Spectrier. I just typed it in the chat, but when you're drafting, one of the best ways to do it is you need to look for Mons that enable your sweepers. You need to enable your team. You don't need to I need a grass type. No, you don't need a grass type. You need something that can break waters. It's a shift your mindset. You need to be able to enable your best Pokemon in order to win more often. Because who's going to win on this team? I'm going to say the Spectrier is probably going to be the winner, or Mence is going to be the winner. And you need to find Pokemon that can break for those two, or set those two up to win. I think Samurai does that with Ceaseless Edge. However, I think you should have a better fighting type than Decidueye.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Next up is going to be another Articuno division. Come on, guys. Come on, we can do better than this.
Come on, Articuno. Come on, dog.
It is going to be the Boston Blazikens over here. Now, the team, again, it is not bad. You're looking at it, you're like, how the hell does John not like this team, right?
This is the John Jr. team.
This is the John Jr. team through and through. Let me pull up my notes. Let's see.
I don't think there's a single mon on here that John doesn't like. Just Hatterene?
Just Hatterene.
It's just Hat, yeah. Wow.
Just Hat. The speed gap between chien-pao and Mismag is enough to put it a little bit lower. There's not very many great Pokemon that you could fill that role with, but Mismag on its own is not really respected in most matchups just because it's not that great of a Pokemon, especially you're going to have 6 better Pokemon usually in a matchup anyway, so it's really a speed gap between chien-pao and like Slithering or Glamora, I guess, if they will respect the Glamora or Rotom speed tier. So the speed tiers are a little bit tough, and one of the things that I do just like the most about this team, the momentum in the chien-pao a lot. but you don't have a steel type, and steel types are super important, especially with chien-pao and slitherwing and dragonite. You have all these Pokemon that love switching in and doing a lot of damage, but have a lot of trouble switching in and get just blasted by fairy types. You just don't have Armor Rouge, like you don't have a good fairy resistance. Steel type is super necessary on this team, and you only have one remover, but it is what it is in Paldea decks.
Yeah, I like every mon on this team. I think this mon's honestly, I think this team would be great. The only change I would make is just change Dragonite to a fairy resist. That would fix your team. I think that's my best advice. Dragonite is just not the best without Terra. It's like, if you look, I think it's just people just think that the mon is so much better now because like just with Terra. But if without Terra, it's just the same Dragonite we've been playing with for the past 5 years, you know, or however long. So like Dragonite's okay. It's okay, but I do think that you should really consider changing it into a better fairy resist or a fairy resist.
A fairy resist. Well, Armor.
Oh, and Armor. Yeah, but neither of those really. Most fairies are special as well, so Glamora wants to be pivoting in more on the physical guys in order to get like toxic spikes up. Yeah. Which toxic spikes are great for your team.
Toxic spikes are fantastic for this team. I would just have this stack in general.
I would just change the Dragonite into a fairy resist, and boom, you're good.
Yeah. Next up, we're gonna have another Articuno member who I just saw type in chat. We have Brother Robbie. Is that how you say your name, by the way? Brother D9 with Terra is great. We don't have Terra. Or did somebody in the chat say that D9 with Terra is not good?
What, D9? Was that without Terra? That's Owen saying it.
We'll see in a second. The stream's like 30 seconds behind. Oh, without Terra. You meant without Terra. I like D9 without Terra. It's fine.
I'm not a big believer in it. I think it's just still just like a fine mon. It's just a fine mon. I don't think it's good. I think it's fine.
So the next one is going to be Brother Robbie, who I'm just going to start off by saying that you have top 3 Pokemon. Fucking ridiculous. Like, these Pokemon are great. One thing that I do think brings down this team immediately, though, is the fact that you Terra'd Sneasler.
Yeah.
You have 2 Pokemon that would have benefited from it immensely more, which are Torn and Skeledirge. And not only the Terra and Sneasler, but I'm also a little confused on the types. But Torn and Skeledirge, if you Terra'd either one of those Pokemon, you would be sitting so much better. I probably would do Dirge, just because of opportunity cost. You would have even more points to work with probably. But I do like you like your top 4 are fantastic. You just need to change the Terra, right? Like that's my only gripe with those. But I think you have 2 fairies. Neither are great though. Mimikyu and Wigglytuff both aren't really good fairies. You have no bulky water, which is another thing that I think you should do for if you do Terra Torn or Terra Skeledirge. I think one of the types should always be water. Great start, but not great support pieces, ultimately, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think your top 4 are great. Just change the Terra off Sneasler. Sneasler doesn't need a Terra. With Terra, it's really good. I just don't think it needs the Terra compared to Skeledirge. And also, even if you are gonna Terra Sneasler, I think Terra Fighting is just like really strong. You just want to be able to break teams down when you Terra. But yeah, I think our Believe is really good. I like your team. I really do like your team. I think just change maybe Mimikyu Cryogonal to something just a little bit better for like to support the top tier mons. Maybe like a nice little pivot piece. But yeah, no. Other than that, just change Dirge to your captain, man. That mon's like a 10 pointer without Terra. It's just slow. It doesn't have a good defensive typing. It was my initial analysis of the mon prior to Terra. It's just like okay. It's slow. It's not a good defensive typing. Just change it. Change your Terra cap. Yeah. That's like the advice.
Like the thing. Yeah.
Shouts to Yubby though.
We're gonna have a Zapdos division member here. We are gonna have Windowframe. Zapdos.
That's a fire name. I love that name.
Is it in frame here? Let me scroll up just a little bit for you guys. So Baxcalibur, Slowking Grin is really good. My initial, just looking up and down this team, your steel type is Magneton. Not a good look. Especially for a team that has best 2 offensive pieces being Baxcalibur and Greninja. You have Amoonguss to switch in 2 fairies, which is fantastic, but Amoonguss is pretty much going to be forced to come every single week just based on your team composition. You also picked up Hawlucha, another Pokemon week to fairy that I don't necessarily get on this team. I don't know what Hawlucha is doing here other than simply for the speed tier, maybe filling the gap in between Greninja and base 100 at Zoroark, I suppose. Yeah. So this team will struggle defensively for sure, but if you can get into a good position offensively, you are going to overrun your opponents. I really do like the electric on backs as well, just to break waters, because your team does struggle with breaking waters. But yeah, just offensively, your team is great. I do like Slowking on this team too. Slowking is a good defensive piece, but I think defensively, you're going to struggle with Slowking. Plus, Amoonguss is fantastic, but you're pretty much set in stone going to bring those certain Pokemon. Maybe change Lucha to something else, I think is what I would say. I don't know if there's any other Steel types on the board, but Magneton is not going to cut it as your Fairy Resist. It's just not.
Yeah, I think he chose, probably chose the best Terras for Excalibur. Maybe Ground instead of Dragon. That's the only, maybe. Like, even then, Dragon's just strong as hell. I just think Terra Ground's really good for a lot of matchups. No, I agree with John on everything. Change Hawlucha. You know, your speed tiers are fine-ish. You know, you bring in Zoroark for your speed a lot of the time outside of Greninja. Yeah, I would just change Hawlucha. I love Hawlucha, just change Hawlucha. That's and I doubt there's another steal on the board because, you know, there aren't a lot of steals. I understand that. It's just, Hawlucha just isn't it. Okay. Especially without any terrain. Like, I like it, it's just not as good.
Yeah. Yo, shout out Aurora, thank you for coming by. I don't know if you're still here. And shout out to everybody that's still here. I really appreciate you. We've had a fantastic stream so far. And we are about halfway through the teams right now, moving up to number 26. We have SJ, who is #1 mod in my heart, who did a lot of the doc work, so shout out to him. We have Palafin, Kingambit, and Zapdos, which is a fantastic start to the team. He said he didn't even really want Zapdos, so I do like the team initially, but I do think there are some weird mons and weird picks that you just want to try. Like, I think Iron Thorns on this team doesn't make any sense. I think Iron Thorns is really, really weird on this team, especially with how weak you are to ground outside of Zapdos, which is another concern of mine, just being that weak to ground. But I do like Zapdos plus Palafin. Palafin obviously doesn't like the Zapdos matchup normally, so taking that off the board is really cool. There's no real hazard setters besides Gastrodon. And I imagine in this comp you don't really want to be rocks with Kingambit. You want to be more of an offensive Kingambit. This team looks like it's trying to enable Kingambit to be an offensive piece, which is going to be fantastic. I do like that aspect a whole lot, but otherwise the team's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think Iron Thorn needs to be here. I don't think Typhlosion Hisuian needs to be here. Like, especially because you already have Zoroark.
Is that all three Typhlosion teams?
All three.
Yeah. It got drafted 3 times.
That's crazy. It's crazy that it's get drafted in general. But you know, I agree with John. I think Kingambit really, really good. Not as your, you know, I understand what Iron Thorns is doing here. It's here to set hazards. That's its entire job, is to live a hit and set up hazards. So other than that, I think no, I like your team a lot. I really do. I don't think Avalugg will ever come. You have 5 extra points, so Avalugg could be an 8-pointer. You know, again, how many points did you guys start with?
120. I just gave him
120.
Yeah, massive.
Okay,
number.
so I understand why you guys don't use all the points now, but like, in my mind, that means that there shouldn't be any reason that you don't have a bunch of broken Pokemon. You have so many points to work with. You know, you don't gotta fill out the roster. So yeah, again, I'm not really a big on Decidueye Hisuian either, but I do think I think maybe if you change Decidueye, no, this is where I probably is fine here. I would just change, I don't know, maybe your bottom mons. I think your bottom 3 could just all go together and turn into one good mon, and then like into a good ground resist. That's what I would say. Get a good ground resist, you're solid then.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to be talking about a team that I think did another Zapdos division. Unfortunate. We're going to talk about a team I was talking about a little bit earlier, a Chi-Yu team that I think did Chi-Yu right. We are going to be talking about Stein, I think is how you say it. Stein?
Steinbaum.
Yeah. Zapdos. Oh, hold on. Let me write this down. Zapdos. So this is the exact team that I was talking about earlier. I am a big fan of Sneasel plus Chi-Yu. I think neither is really a round 1 pick, but I think that them in conjunction with one another are fantastic. But you see most of his Pokemon are momentum, U-turn, draft league player clicks U-turn. He has speed and Sneasler and Noivern and these things that outspeed Chi-Yu, which is exactly what Chi-Yu needs. And these Pokemon that can get into Chi-Yu pretty safely, slow, potential slow U-turns and Volt switches with Rotom and Magnezone and Rillaboom and Uxie. Just, I really like the fact that he has all of this momentum to Chi-Yu, and I think it's going to enable, the whole point of this team looks like it's to enable Chi-Yu to be a good breaker. I would personally make Chi-Yu the Terra captain because of that. I think Chi-Yu would benefit more from the Terra. I don't think Sneasel Terra is bad, and if you want to keep it that way, then so be it. But I do think Chi-Yu on this build would benefit from it. The big downside of this team, the reason that it falls this low, is the lack of a fairy type. No fairy type. Dragons run you.
Yeah, that's the only that I everything you just said is like real. I think change Chi-Yu to the captain, like Terra Dark, Terra Fairy, as your 2 choices, and then get yourself a fairy type. So it might be more expensive. So like, since there is Terra tax, if you need to get more points, I would change Frostlass down into something else.
Well, they have an extra point, so they're fine.
Oh, is it just 1? Okay, I don't know the point difference between Sneasel and Chi-Yu. But yeah, no, I would say just get yourself a fairy type.
Just get a fairy type.
Get yourself a fairy type.
Straight up. Get yourself a fairy type.
Even if it's like just Dash Bund, if it's there. I don't know if it's drafted or not.
Next up is going to be, let's see, I think they're in Zapdos? No, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah,
What?
they're here.
Where?
They're on the bottom row. Just scroll left.
Ah, here we go. Lisbon Air Slashers. I think that's how you pronounce it.
It's probably Pay. I don't know.
It is Pei. He said his name means foot, so I like him. He's also been very funny. Another Articuno division. Dang, dude, I didn't realize Moltres had this many top tier teams. This is actually I thought it was Zapdos. I'll be honest with you guys. So Pei right here. Let's see. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be hard to find his notes because there are so many PEs on my doc. What division is this? Articuno.
Yeah, Articuno.
Pei.
Then here.
Moltres. Oh, here. So, Urshifu Glow King is a tried and true combo. I think these two mons work very well together. Greninja is a scary offensive pivot. Doesn't necessarily need to count as a dark type because of the fact that it does have protein. And then Thunder is paired with this to break the waters. It's just a fantastic start to the team. And Thundurus as the Terra Captain, I think, is the objective correct choice on this team. And I like the Snow Core, the late Snow Core with the Chili Reception and Glow King. I think that's fantastic and really, really cool. And I'm excited to see how you do with it. I like Talonflame for the speed, for the momentum, for the even Defog, and Gastrodon's just a good water type. Like, you just have a good team up and down. The only things that I don't like about this team is the fact that your steal is Caparaja, and Caparaja got a big nerf this generation and is unfortunately not that good. I probably overpriced it because I didn't know it lost those moves whenever I priced it. But and then the fact that you don't have a fairy, which seems to be pretty consistent with a lot of these teams just because there's a lack of fairies, but no fairy is gonna be pretty tough, and that's just gonna be the only like really big downfall for your team.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, I wouldn't change your team at all. I know that like this is the first team I'm saying that for. I wouldn't make any changes to your team just because I think that if you made any changes that would compromise what you already have going. I think you meet every standard that you need to. Maybe if it's just not as good as it needs to. You have every role filled. It's just that other than the fairy, you have every role filled. But like, if you went and go and change something, everything has a purpose on this team. I think every single mod has a purpose on this team. So I would
think Poltegeist has a purpose?
I think Poltegeist with a lot of teams aren't like drafting a lot of good normal types.
There's not a lot in the deck.
Exactly. So I think Poltegeist actually is a really good sleeper guy in the back. I would say one thing. Draft Pineco. Pick a Pineco.
All right, we're moving on. We're moving on. One thing that also I didn't realize about your team just now, you don't really have a great Ghost resist, even though you have two dark types. Ghosts are going to kind of run your team, and if you pull the Dragapult matchup, you might just lose. Straight up, you might just lose.
You're gonna have to run. Sorry, I'm gonna spoil it. You're gonna have to run like AV Glow King with like more Fizz Def to take the darts. That's like that is your way of playing it.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to have Spider, who... Is he Moltres? Oh, fantastic. We all love hating on Moltres today. Avid Moltres haters. 2 Caparajas back-to-back, I guess, for some reason. So, this team... Let's see. Let me pull up Spider. So, I'm always biased and dislike Chi-Yu teams, especially with it not being Terra, but you do have some nice complementary pieces to it. Speed tiers do struggle on this team for sure. Your fastest mon, I think, was Enamorous. Oh, Inteleon, I guess. Inteleon's your fastest mon, but your speed tiers do struggle a little bit. Inteleon to Enamorous, and then Enamorous to Chi-Yu. But Tinglu is a weirdly good pairing with Chi-Yu, actually. You have 2 dark types, which, yeah, you're a little weak to fighting, but you do mitigate that with Enamorous, Slowking, and Amoonguss, so you don't really have to worry about that. But Hazard Stack in the Chi-Yu is really, really good. Chi-Yu is a Pokemon that really appreciates Hazard Stack. Enamorous is also a cool breaker with this. It can break the dark types that maybe could switch into a Specs Dark Pulse from the Chi-Yu. I don't think there's anything wrong with this team, but it's also just simply not good enough to be a top tier team.
Yeah, donation.
I got a donation?
Yeah.
FLZM here. I have a flight to catch, but thanks for the stream. Looking forward to the battles. Thank you so much for the donation, man. I really, really appreciate it. It means the world. And shout out to everybody that's still here. If you are still here, be sure to leave a like on the video. I believe we're at 52 likes, so that's fantastic. And you might as well sub while you're at it. Only 21% of my viewers are subscribed. Why not join?
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. I like Lucario. That's about it.
Somebody sign me!
Other than that, no, you do, like, again, same thing John said. I think John hit this team on the head as well. I just like.
I'm pretty smart, man. I really am.
Well, I don't know about that. Not with that one guy in the. You know what? I'm gonna say it. I think that other guy back with the Articuno Galar team, where I told you to change just the Articuno, you got robbed, dog. You're better than every team we've seen so far. You have a better team than everybody so far.
Oh,
you just have to pick up any ground resist, any. I think it was a ground resist or ice resist, any ice resist, and your team was better than all of these. So, shoutouts to whoever that was. I don't remember the name.
I also don't remember the name. But next up, we got Crab. Let's see. This is number 22, by the way, guys. I think.
Typing D on all of them.
I've been typing Drab.
Every team.
Oops. So it was Moltres. Okay. Woo. So Moltres hate can commence again.
Oh.
This is a. Hold on. This is a good team. This is a good team. Moltres. I knew you would like this team, man. There's two Dragon Ball Ursa Luna teams, by the way. We'll talk about another one in a minute. But we're getting to the point where I wrote down like ratings for each of these teams. We're getting to like the 7.5 out of 10s. Like these are the top teams. These are teams that are really, really good. And it starts with this one. I think I rated the last one a little bit lower, but 7.5 out of 10. Dragon Ball plus Ursa Luna is just it's a goated core. Like it's just great. There's nothing really wrong about getting these two Pokemon together. Ursa Luna obviously resists all the things that Dragon Ball doesn't enjoy. It's fantastic. Not dark types, I guess, or fairy type. It's just fat. It's a fat Pokemon. I do like the Fire Terra on Kingambit to make it a fairy resist, because otherwise your fairy resist is Tinkatuff, Toxapex, and Moltres is a fine fairy resist. But Kingambit being a fire type is fantastic on a team that has Dragon Ball. And the only thing that I think is a big gripe on this team, the two things that's very resistant thing I just mentioned, but immediate breaking power. Besides Ursa Luna and I guess Kingambit, you don't have the strongest Pokemon to immediately come out and immediately break. Breloom maybe as well, but other than that, you don't have great breaking power immediately. But you do have good pivots, which is awesome into Dragon Ball.
Yeah, so I'm gonna build off that a little bit.
Another donation. Trey, 45th in PRs, first in league. I wish I could have put you lower, man. I should have put you lower for the meme. That would have been hilarious. But I mean, I hope you do good. You've been awesome for the community, and I really do appreciate you. So thank you for all you do, man.
So I'll say, I disagree with saying that John doesn't, or with John saying that this doesn't have like the best like offensive guys, like initial like breaking. But I will say that I don't agree on the physical side, but on the special side, I do. I think you just need a single special breaker would like elevate this team so much. I think Ursa Luna is Ursa Luna, in my opinion, is a Pokemon who will never ever go without taking a Mon down with it. If you're running Ursa Luna and it doesn't at least kill one Mon every game,
then you've probably got the Corviknight matchup.
You probably got the dude. I'm pretty sure it kills Corviknight too.
Keep going.
Anyways, like I calc versus Celesteela. Anyways. Ursa Luna is crazy good. I think it complements Draco Ball really well. Just get yourself a special breaker. Other than that, you're one of the only people with a fairy and a steel. Crazy. Like that alone is insane. And I like your Kingambit choice. I like your Terra choice. I think Tinkatuff is never gonna come ever.
And another random Meloetta.
Yeah, I would say maybe drop Tinkatuff plus Ditto for like an 8-point, maybe like a special breaker, like some mid special breaker. I don't know, just get a guy that has like 120 special attack and then like maybe like a decent speed. And
a lot of people too are saying that Noivern is redundant on this team. I definitely agree. That is a good point that I forgot to write down. Moltres plus Dragon Ball does make Noivern kind of redundant. I do like it as a pivot because it pivots on the fairy types, helps shift down the fairy types, but it definitely is a little bit redundant.
Yeah.
I'm getting a call from Jason.
Yeah, I agree. You don't need Noivern here. You could drop Noivern plus Tinkatuff if you really wanted to, because Tinkatuff doesn't need to be here in any way. You already have a Steel and a Fairy.
Yeah. Next up, we are going to have another Moltres person, one of my longest friends at this point. I love Walt. We are going to have Walt here. He has a really, really cool core, Urshifu Skeledirge plus...
I think I need to is that right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Here we go. Walt has a really good core, Urshifu Skeledirge, Thundurus. Urshifu plus Dirge is really, really cool, but I don't understand the Terra Dark on Skeledirge. I feel like Terra Fairy or Terra Water would really be good on this team. Probably Terra Fairy. And I don't necessarily think that the team's bad in any other way. Azu and Thunder are amazing pairings to Urshifu. You get pivots, you get Azu to wall the fairy, or to wall the ice hits on this team that this team doesn't really appreciate otherwise. And then even later on down the line, you see he has Scizor, which Scizor is just an amazing pairing with Urshifu. One of the best steals, in my opinion, that he could have paired with Urshifu, other than like Corviknight, and that's like a round 7 Scizor straight up. So the main thing that I don't like about this team other than the Teradark Skeletors, is going to be speed. You lack a lot of speed. You have Thundurus with 111, you have Urshifu with 97, and Mew at 100, which I don't know if it's respectable or not this generation, but speed is going to be the main thing where I think this department, or the main department where I think this team is kind of lacking here. So...
yeah, okay, so I think, John said just like the Teradark. I think both your Terras are wrong on Skelly. I think Fire is also bad on Skelly. I think you should be going two defensive typings, so I think you should be going Fairy and Water, personally. I think that's like the biggest gripe I have with the team. I don't think, like, I don't think you ever want to tear into a Fire type. You already have good enough, like, offense, like, overall. Like, Thundy plus Urshifu, probably good enough. So I don't think you need any more offensive help. Fire's not going to help you in, like, Fire and Ghost don't share a single weakness, so like getting rid of the Ghost typing isn't going to help you in any way, you know? By just going pure Fire. So I think you should just change both of them. I think that's like the biggest advice. Other than that, all the rest of the mons are just solid. You don't have any like bad mons, I'd say. Scyther's fine. It'll come it might come one week. It has Defog. That's like the most relevant thing about Scyther. Wait, you Scyther and Sneasel?
Is that species?
Yeah, I think so. Well, okay.
We'll look into that later.
Yeah,
later. We'll look into that later. That might be species clause.
Because it's the same species, but it's not the same dex number. Oh. Yeah, you can figure that one out.
Whatever. All right, now we're going to talk about the Ursaluna Dragapult team that I do think is a little bit better. I think there's Zapdos. Yeah, we're going to talk about this Ursaluna Dragapult team, which I think just does it a little bit better with the support pieces. Zapdos, Caffeinated Hog. So... great combo. Obviously, Ursaluna plus Dragapult is fantastic. I don't agree with Ursaluna being Terra. I'm excited to see it be used, but I do think Thundurus was always 10 out of 10 times the correct Terra on this team. Glim pair with these Pokemon is also fantastic. Dragapult is a known Pokemon to love Hazard Stack because it does miss out on crucial KOs. Ursaluna obviously also will appreciate the Hazard Stack, and I like the momentum with Thundurus and Kleavor breaks Dark types for Dragapult, which is fantastic. This is just overall a good team if you just take the top 6 Pokemon plus Dondozo. Umbreon, Slowbro, Mimikyu, and Gothita. Gothita is 1 point, so it doesn't really matter. Those 4 Pokemon have no place on this team. Literally no reason for these Pokemon to be on this team. Umbreon, ass. It's a ghost resist, but you have Ursaluna, so why does that really matter? You do obviously want a dark type for the psychic types, but Umbreon is just so bad this generation. It's unbelievable. Slowbro, grounded poison, I guess, and also a psychic type. You had both of those types already, so I'm not sure how Slowbro fit on the team. The Mimikyu is a secondary fairy to Hatterene, as well as a secondary ghost to Dragapult. So those Pokemon just, I don't think have any purpose on this team.
Yeah, I think Umbreon could stay just so on paper you have a dark type. There's not going to be too many more dark types left. So, like, on paper, it's fine. Love Ursaluna. Love that mon. Mon's crazy. But I'd say, honestly, I don't know if Water is the one that you want to go. Maybe you should go into, like, a Terra Steel, perchance. Because you don't really have a good Steel type. And I know that, like, you share weaknesses with the normal and by fighting it and... Yeah, with fighting type. But I think... you don't need the secondary Water because you already have Dondozo, or you don't need the Terra because of Dondozo. I love G-Bro, but like, yeah, G-Bro is no reason to be on the team. You already have a 4 times resist, you already have a grounded poison and a grounded psychic. That is all 4 things that you need. No, but I agree. Mimikyu doesn't need to be on the team. You already have a ghost and a fairy. You don't need G-Bro. Like, I don't know, just find other like pieces that like could come to a game, you know? Other than that, I think you're good. Really quick, is Quick Claw banned?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, then yeah, you definitely don't need G-Bro.
Yeah,
especially not for 9.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna have somebody else who was saying they were surprised they hadn't been placed yet. We're gonna be placing, I guess they're in Moltres here. Aurora Draco. Let me scroll down here and write down that you are in Moltres over here. Okay, so the things I like about your team. The top 4 mons in conjunction with one another are ridiculous. You picked the right Terra because Spectre is Terra banned. Spectre plus Glow King is awesome. Greninja as a pivot into the Glow King and as a breaker in general is fantastic. And then obviously Glow King bounces off that really well. It's a fairy resist and it does fantastic. And then you have Lilligant Hisui, which I'm not sure on the Terra types. I do think it was the right Terra choice. I don't know about the Terra types. I'm not a big Hisui and Lilligant user. I think Hisui and Lilligant on paper is a great Pokemon into Spectria because it's momentum. It's a fighting type that's really, really powerful. I like it a lot. And then I really like how you prioritize Tinkaton, as there were not a lot of fairies and steels in this deck. So we get to the bottom half of your draft though. And again, this is just going to be the way it is with a lot of people. Crest blows this generation. Don't fall into the trap. You don't need Crest. You have Slowking Galar. I'm not sure what Crest is doing on this team other than a Levitate user. You have a lot of other options though for a potential ground resist. You don't even have a flying type unless I'm mistaken. No, you don't have a flying type, so you could have grabbed some sort of flying type maybe, and you do have Lilligant, so you could double up. I can get a second grass type since you are Terra on the Lilligant, no Terra grass. Alolan Muck is another Pokemon that I think has no purpose on this team. You have a Dark already and you have a Poison, so I don't think that there's any purpose for Muck to be on this team. I really don't. I like Mudsdale as a rocker, and the team overall is a pretty good team.
Yeah, no, I like this team. I think, yeah, Muck could just be like any other Mon, and I think Crest is fine. Crest is fine, but you already have a Psychic type, so you don't need it. I think if you change Muck and Crest, actually no, you know what? I think even keeping Muck is fine because it helps with like Mons that are Ghost type but that have a secondary type, like Dragapult matchup. Maybe not as much Dragapult, but wait, you have this Spectre. Yeah, maybe you could drop Muck. I think Muck is okay as a secondary in both regards, but yeah, you could probably drop Crest for something else. Crest is just treading on what G-King already wants to do, so you could probably schmix it up with changing Crest to, I don't know, like almost anything. Other than that, I like your team. I like most Mons on this team.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad team by any means. No, and that was number 19, by the way, guys. I think. Let me double check that. Yeah, that was number 19. So we are in the top 20 now. So if you have a team here, we think your team is pretty good. Or I think your team is pretty good. And now we're gonna have somebody who is again in Moltres. We're about to have a string of Moltres teams, just so you guys are aware. It's about to be a massive string. We're gonna have Mr. Mag here. Mr. Mag. And the only big thing that I see wrong with this team is going to be speed tiers. Garchomp and Iron Jugulis being your fastest Pokemon is going to be a really, really big downside when there's a lot of really fast Pokemon in this meta. I like Jug plus Chomp and Slither a lot offensively. I think they do a lot for each other offensively, but defensively, not the best. You lose to fairy types, but you did mitigate that a lot by getting double poison, Glamora, Clodseye, which I do think is a little bit redundant, but it is what it is. And then Rotom Heat all in the next 3 rounds. So I think you covered up your weaknesses well. One thing that I will say that makes no sense on this team is, please, for the love of everything, drop Revavroom. You don't need Revavroom. Why do people keep drafting Revavroom? You have 3 poisons. Get a different steel, any other steel, literally any other steel, and you'll be fine. Other than that, it packs a lot of mods that work well together. Other than that, nothing wrong with this team, I don't think.
I think John was a little tired when he was rating this team. I think this team's actually a bit lower in general, because you do have 3 poison types. None of them complement each other. Actually, yeah, 2 of them are 4 times weak to the ground. They just don't really. They don't work together in any way. I think Revavroom is a steel type. That is what I have to say about Revavroom. You don't need Clods on this team at all. You already have a better ground type and a better poison, I think. I'd have to think if I think Clods is better than Glamora or not. But yeah, no, I think this team, honestly, it doesn't blow me out of the water in any way. Like, I feel like the only great mon on your team is Garchomp, still doing solid, but then like everybody else is kind of like closer to middling the path.
Yeah, maybe I was juiced when I rated this high.
Just a little.
I'll be honest with you guys, we were trying to rate these really quickly to get these out. So maybe this team would have been a little bit lower, but I don't think it's bad by any means. I do think that the triple poison is extremely redundant. Not a little, but I do think it's extremely redundant.
Yeah, so I know I haven't been doing the advice as much, but because these teams have just been better, but I do think if you drop some poisons, just fill in some rolls. You know, get you a normal type. Get you a bag, dog. Just go get some nice mons. You got hella points to work with.
Yeah.
Just go get a good mon.
Next up, we do have another Moltres member. Let me see if it's on the screen. It is. We are talking about Clyde. Do I still have this going? I do. We're talking about Clyde. Now, Clyde's team, I really, really like. Lando, Volcarona, Samurai Hisui, Hydreigon are all really, really cool together, and I like that you have Terra Volcarona plus Hazard Stack. Lenard, you have the classic Lenard. Everybody loves Lenard, and you have Hazard Stack with it. I like Bronzong. Bronzong is the steel is really cool. Iron Hands to break the water is really cool. The only inherent problem that I have with this team is that the speed tiers are super cluttered. You have Lenard, Volcarona, and Hydreigon all within 3 speed points of each other, which is not very good. When it comes to prepping, it's going to be really easy to prep for those. A lot of people, there are some people, some really good players, like my buddy Shuckle King, doesn't care about speed tiers whatsoever. So you could very well still win games with 3 of your best Pokemon, arguably your 3 best Pokemon being in that cluttered speed tier. Other than that, this team is really, really good. It does lack a true bulky water. I'm not sure how bulky Hisui and Samurott is off the top of my head. Like kind of mid, it's kind of alright. So other than that, you just lack true bulky water, but Volcarona can kind of mitigate that with the water typing, I guess. On the Spadef side, I don't know. What do you think?
I think we're back on track with really good teams. This team's really solid. The only thing that's like pretty solid about this is that you now are kind of forced into Scarf Hydra every matchup. I feel like that's your best like speed that you're gonna have. You're going to kind of struggle like with speed outside of that. It's just your best Scarfer. I don't think Scarf Lando's very good. I also don't think Scarf Volcarona's very good. I also cannot believe Volcarona can Terra. But I think that Terra Fire and Volcarona is also redundant. I think you should be going into either grass so you can break waters better, or you can go into ground because ground is just a good typing. I think you just change for Terra Fire. I think that would be the number one thing I'd say. Other than that, I wouldn't make too many changes. I think, again, this might compromise what you already have built. I think you're solid. You have your roles filled. It's just like, here and there, maybe change your Volcarona type. You're going to be Scarf Hydra every matchup. And other than that, yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, and yes, they are lacking a great hazard removal. It's just Serena, but at least they have some. There are a lot of teams that don't have literally any, unfortunately, in this deck. So
yeah, I haven't really looking at the hazard removal because, dude, nobody has removal. Just run boots. Nobody has knockoff anymore either, so just run boots. You're chilling, bro. Okay,
next up, this team, number 16. So we are almost within the top 15 teams. We have a division left, which is really cool. Spectria, Tinglu, and Annihilate is amazing. That is an amazing start for a team. You have Hazard Stack into Annihilate, but Spectria, two Pokemon that really appreciate Hazard Stack. Mew is also kind of cool on this team, I guess. It's not... It's not the best. It's fine. Toadscrow as a remover is really cool. And then outside the top 5, I have a big problem with this team. You don't really have any good support pieces on this team. Staraptor is a Pokemon that looks like you just kind of picked it to pick. There were maybe to fill the speed tier. No, you had Mew. I'm not sure why Staraptor is on this team. Hariyama as a low tier fighting is fine, but Alomomola on this team as the bulky water I don't necessarily love. Obviously, there potentially weren't that many great options there. But Alomomola just sucks the life out of this team, I think. Obviously, it's like a momentum sucker on a team that really wants to get Spectrier and Annihilate bin. But I mean, the whole team kind of sucks momentum. That's like the whole downside of this team. You have good hazard stack, you have a decent enough hazard remover, and I like the fact that you went Fairy and Steel on Annihilate. It shows that you understand how Pokemon works. It just shows that you understand how Pokemon works, because you had no Fairy resist until you went Terra Steel on Annihilate, and I think Terra Steel is going to be the one that you bring a hell of a lot on Annihilate. If you take away that, your Steel type is Hisui and Guja, and you don't really switch into Fairies, but I like your team overall. I like the top 3. I think the top 3 are going to be fantastic together.
So yeah, I think this team is also a little overinflated at the moment with where it's being placed. I think the offense is really solid with the top 2 mons. Just double Ghost. Ghost is just spammable. Like that's just me being real with you. Ghost is incredibly spammable. But like outside of that, like you just don't have any like real great mons. Like I feel like every role that you have is kind of like, Your Steel type is Hisui and Gudra. It's it doesn't resist ice. Your ground type is Toadscruel. I'm sorry, you have 2 ground types. Tinglu is a good ground type. Grass type is Toadscruel. It's solid. Mew, I just don't think Mew's very good. You don't really. I guess you're kind of weak to fighting, so Mew's fine. But then Aloe doesn't do much. Staraptor's okay. It's always Scarf or Banded. Ditto. I think Ditto's kind of just like I don't know what to pick right now. I'm gonna take Ditto. Kind of on. Hariyama. I don't know. Hariyama doesn't have to be here at all.
I forgot Annihilate was a fire type when I said it's a good low tier fighting. Yeah,
you just don't need Hariyama whatsoever.
It's just the bottom half of the team. The top half of the team's good. It was a good start.
I would have moved this team more to like a middle of the pack team.
That's fair.
Personally, I even then, it's not that bad. It's just that you lack some rules.
Yeah, and yes, to answer your question in chat, I see a couple people answering for you. There are 3 divisions. We have Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres division, and there's 3 different drafts because there were a lot of people that signed up and showed interest in this, so I try to include as many of them as I possibly could with it still being realistic to run these leagues. So that's what we did with that. We have 48 people across 3 divisions, and we're ranking all of them. And right now we're moving on to number 15, Draco Gone. Where are you, Draco Gone? I should have wrote down what division they were in before, but it's okay. We have Draco Gone here. Let's see, Draco Gone. Wait, he's here twice.
Is he? Oh well. It's because you slid somebody in that you missed earlier.
And it was him that I slid in. There's gonna be somebody on this list that is missing, and I apologize. Whoops. Okay, we'll figure it out after, and
In
we'll
post.
slot them. So number 15, you're whoever we're missing. This is it. I'll talk about it in the post-com of the video. You're slotted in number 15 because I feel bad. Whoever we are missing. Okay,
I'll try to find it if you wanna
Okay,
keep going.
I'm a professional YouTuber. Number 14, Draco Gone. Shout out Draco Gone. So your team. Let me pull it up. The notes, Draco Gone. I cannot begin to fathom how you got the top 3 Pokemon that you got. Annihilate, Iron Bundle, and Lando. That's fantastic. Grimmsnarl to help set up with Annihilate is also really good, and set up with the Lando is obviously really good. Obviously, you have 2 top tier Terra Captains, 2 of the best Terra Captains in the game, in Lando and Annihilate, and I cannot fault you at all for picking Lando over Annihilate as your Terra Captain. One thing that this team is going to struggle with severely is going to be breaking bulky waters, and I think that's the reason why you chose Terra Electric on Lando, to kind of mitigate that a little bit. Lanad Therian is going to be fantastic for you. It's also, you have such great pivots. Your top 3 Pokemon all have pivots into each other, which is awesome, and Gothitelle to trap potentially fairies that you don't love is going to be really, really nice as well. And even the bulky waters, Gothitelle can trap and beat most bulky waters, which is just going to be awesome for your team. You're still pretty weak to ice though on this team. What are you doing?
I need the doc as soon as you're done with it, so I'm just getting ready. You're good. Keep going. You're good.
Okay, all 3 Pokemon, all 3 of your top Pokemon are going to be really, really good and come to every single game. And there's nothing inherently wrong with this team. This team's pretty good. It fills all the roles. It's just there are teams that are better than this.
Okay. Really, while I'm doing this, can you go press the back button and look at the list of the guys? Because remember, you had enough. You were only missing one person, and then now you're missing another person. If you press back.
Well, the person that I added that I thought I missed was Draco Gone.
Yeah, I'm saying like prior to before you added Draco Gone, you're missing one person who was him. So we should be able to see who we missed.
What do you mean?
Like if we just press back, like backspace. Oh, it's never mind. You've edited too much. Never mind. Forgot all the ads.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. I like your team. I really do. I think your top 3 look like incredibly fun. Grimmsnarl is solid on the team. I don't like Fortress. Dragalge is okay. I think Gothitelle is really nice on the team. I've been like kind of saying I don't like Goth on a lot of these teams so far, but with a lot of the like Iron Bundle and Lando, a lot of these guys with momentum, there's fellows who kind of lose to certain archetypes of mons. So like a very spit F water type bundle doesn't enjoy. Landers doesn't enjoy a lot of like sometimes flying types or even grass types, and you can trap them all with Goth, and then you make your life so much easier with your top tier mons. You don't, and I think you have a very well put together team with a lot of good ideas. So I like your team. I really do. I don't think Mesprit needs to be here. I think Mesprit's a rocker, and that's about it. I think outside of that, I like your team. I think Hisuian Electrode's really good as a mon. Pyro's, it's here. You know, it's solid. It'll come to a matchup maybe. So I think the rest. I think overall your team is put together very well.
Yeah, and I think now we're moving to the 13th now. And I think at this point, these are the best of the best teams. These teams are elite, and I actually remember pretty much every single one off the top of my head. Star is a big fan of this next team for one reason in particular.
Pineco?
No, what? Nobody drafted Pineco, man. Shut up.
Oh man.
We're gonna have Con H here. I've known him forever. I don't know how to pronounce his name. The Yanma Blues, and so your team initially was not good. I don't know how to say it in any other way. Urshifu Rapid Goldingo, a round 1 and 2 wheel, is not good. Goldingo's a fine wheel pick, but Urshifu Rapid or Goldingo should never be your best Pokemon on a team. But somehow, I don't know who let this happen. Everybody forgot Iron Moth existed, and you got it round 7. So you got saved, I guess. So your team is really good and a really good balanced team. You have Terra Iron Moth as your best Pokemon, which is fine. Urshifu Rapid and Goldingo play into that Pokemon very, very well. There's nothing wrong with your team. If you didn't get Iron Moth, this team would have been ass. But you got saved by Iron Moth somehow being there round 7.
Yeah, no, I think every mon on this team is good, except like the only thing I could see is maybe now that you have since you have Iron Moth, you could probably drop Arcanine Hisuian for something else. Other than that, no, you fill every role. I like every mon on this team, really. Hippo is fine. You know, I think people get really caught up on Hippo not being good if you're not running Sand. I think the guy is just like really fucking hard to kill. Like he still does everything that you like need him to do. So I think yeah, I would focus on not changing your team. I think your team's really good. I can see this team bringing you to the finals. I think Arcanine Hisuian is the only guy that could get changed.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that was number 13. We're moving on to number 12, who is going to be a mod in one of the divisions. Again, all of these teams are elite. It was very hard to rank 1 through 13. I think you could argue any of them to be number 1, any of them to be number 13. We're moving into Zach of the Articuno division. His team is going to be Palafin, Thundy T, Zarude, Cleavor, Ursaluna. I'm just naming off amazing Pokemon. I don't know how we got Ursaluna around 5. That is just fantastic. It's a great momentum-based team. Palafin, Thundy, Zarude, Cleavor. It'll struggle with bulky grasses a little bit is the only thing I wrote down, but you have Cleavor for that. And obviously, Salazo doesn't fucking count. And bulky grasses are hard to come by regardless. You got one of the best ones in Zarude. So you don't have... The only gripes with this team is you don't have great hazards, but Cleavor is very, very reliable in the fact that it will get rocks up 95% of the time. And then you don't have the best fairy resist, I guess, but Ursaluna's fat enough to where does that really matter?
Yeah, actually with this team, so it's funny. So John says you kind of struggle with grass types. I think you actually beat a lot of grass types pretty well because your grass type beats others. Zarude should beat almost every other grass type in the game because I think it also has Taunt. So it should also be stopping all the bulky ones. Then you U-turn into whoever you need to, which could be Azel, because Azel breaks mons like crazy. And you also have Boudreaux with Sap Sipper, so you can also get through the grass types that way. So I like your team a lot. I think you have basically every role filled. Let me see the doctors for a second. The list of guys.
Why are you saying Tony got 1? We have not been to 1 yet.
I need the doc really quick.
Hunter is not better than Lurantis. Hunter sucks. When do transactions close? Transactions will close. I think it's week 4. I think it's end of week 4. I think.
Okay. I think I might have found who we're missing.
Who is it?
I think it's Mountainade. I do not recognize.
No, we did that team.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I said don't be Terrifier and Arcanine. Sorry, I'm looking for the person we missed because I don't want to. I think it would be kind of sucky to not do everybody at least once in the stream, even if we edit it in post.
Yeah, it's whatever. It'll be good. So the next team, we are at number 11. I'm going to re-ping people once we get to the top 10. Number 11, he is here. At least he was here a second ago. We are going to go with a Zapdos member, a fellow Heat fan as well. We're going with Bope right here. Bope over here has Urshifu. Urshifu, Iron Shreds, Estera, Espathra, Skeledirge. Just a fantastic team all around. There's not really very many things to dislike about this team. I like the types given to Espathra for Terra, given the rest of your team. I think these were the correct choices. I don't know how much I like non-Terra Dirge on this team, but it definitely does fill some sort of a role as just a bulky fairy resist. Like it takes some pressure off of Iron Shreds as a good, decent fairy resist. I don't know if I like Toxapex as the bulky water, but you have things like Speed Tears pretty well. You have fast Pokemon Talonflame. You have removal. Of course, Toadstool, best remover in the game. And of course, Iron Shreds, I guess. That Pokemon kind of counts as a remover. Rotom as a water resist is pretty cool. And Toxtricity to break waters is also pretty cool. You have all of the important roles. Nothing is super wrong with this team.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Let's check if this team's here. Have we done that one yet? I don't think so.
It's in the top 10.
Top 10, right. Okay. Yeah, so I like your team a lot. I think this is the first Espathra team that has done it correctly. Espathra's not easy to build around overall, but I'm glad we see a team that fits it really well. You break what Espathra needs to be broken. You have the correct Terra types, I'd say. And yeah, no, overall, Bread Dog's honestly, Bread Dog's a good fairy for this gen. You know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a great fairy, but in this gen, I think it's good.
And Terra Espathra with fairy, which I think was, that's why I think it's the correct choice.
I think those are the two exact perfect Espathras.
I agree. All right, boys. We're moving to the top 10. We have 10 teams remaining. Technically 11, but I don't know who the fuck we missed. They're ranked 15th.
I'm finding them.
We have 10 teams remaining. 10 of you guys are left as the best people. And yes, Tony is one of them. Number 10, we're moving in here. We need some hype for this one because this team is special to me for a lot of different reasons. But we are going to go ahead and see Big Goose with Lanad. Where's Goose at?
Let's go, Goose.
Where's Goose at? Where's Big Goose with Lanad? I love Goose. Goose is awesome. Over here, we got Lanad. The tale of Lanad is going to be legendary, and I think he could genuinely win this division with Lanad. We have Lanad, Goldango, Cinderace, Samurai Hisui. Just such a good start to the team. These Pokemon, Lander specifically, is a Pokemon that loves Hazard Stack. And Goose he's gonna try his best with Lanad. It's Lanad season, baby. It just is. And Lanad plus Cinderace is, I think, a core that we saw earlier as well. Lando I plus Cinderace, which is just, it's a good core because Cinderace breaks the grasses, obviously, for Lanad. And I love Hazard stacking into Goldingo. I think that might be something that's overlooked with this team. Hazard stack into Goldingo is very, very good. Obviously, I had that in BBR, and you just can't get rid of it. You followed it up, though, Goose, with the worst rapid spin in the game, and I'm sorry about that, but you have some good stuff like Palmot to help you break bulky waters, which you might struggle with. Orthrum's a fine steal. Like, you have fine enough support pieces to where your team is not ruined. You have Orthworm plus Goldingo, though. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that, Goose. But you do have ground immunity Orthworm, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I agree with Flying Terra Water. Maybe it's fine. I don't know. I would have probably liked to see ground in that slot, but it's Lanad season, baby. It's Lanad.
Okay, so yeah, this team, I think out of most of the teams we've seen so far, I think your top 4 they work together so well.
Who is Lanad? Hold on. You don't know who the fuck Lanad is? Goose, go ahead and let him know who Lanad is. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay. I think, yeah, so like Samurai coming in, it brings in like a lot of, like, it'll bring in like maybe a fighting type or a fairy type, in which then you can either go into Lando or Goldengo. You know, if only Samurai had like flip turn. If Samurai had flip turn, this is the best top 4 like I've seen easily so far. They work together very well. They all bait in each other, which is really good because it's important to understand why Mons are going to bring in other Mons. Since Cinderace brings in water types, then you can go Goldengo, or you can go probably Goldengo. The only thing maybe, and you have Palmot. I love Palmot. So yeah, you can just break most. You can just break most. You can break most teams down overall. With.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll put this over here for now. Yo, shout out to Brody for making a coffee.
Shout out to Broster.
But yeah,
I think overall you got everything kind of covered. I think your lower tier mons are fine. You know, Chansey's okay, I guess. It doesn't do much, but it's a normal type, I guess. I think Articuno Galar is the only mon on this team I would say, yeah, you could probably change that. I like everybody else. This is the first Dragalge team that I think Dragalge fits on.
Yeah.
So,
winner gets a kiss from Owen. That is actually written in the rules. The winner of all divisions gets a big vast smooch from OG Albino. Is written in the rules. So here's your coffee, bro.
Yeah, I'll steal that back from you. Sorry.
It's okay.
Well, if that spills on me, I'm gonna cry.
Okay. Putting 40 hours of prepping a week. You're having a full-time ass job of prepping. Where's Brody? Brody, come on. The people want to see you, Brody.
What, you want to see me?
Look, everybody check out Brody. Yeah, Brody. Let's go. So Brody, how do you feel about Lanad?
Like I said, I love Lando I. This is the other team I looked at was a Lando I team.
Big Lanad fan. So
I love Lando I.
Shout out Goose.
Team. Also, really want to use Hisui Samurai.
Yeah, that one looks fun.
I haven't been able to use it yet. I really want to use it at some point.
Yeah, no, it looks fun. I like it with Lanad. Yes. But so moving into number 9, we are gonna have. Let's see.
Who this was.
Let's see. Dude, I know. It's like
I literally cannot find who it was.
We're gonna have Horace at number 9, who is a part of the Articuno division. He might be the highest placing Articuno division person. I don't know actually. Everybody's saying Broadster in the chat. Let's go. He's sitting in the background. Brody is observing. Yes.
I am observing and watching.
So, all right, Jesse, I'm gonna have to ban you for that one. I'm gonna have to time you out for that one. That was not age appropriate.
I support mid Pokemaster in chat.
So right here we're gonna have Horace, who does have an insane top 3: a Fairy Dragon Steel Core of Iron Valiant, Baxcalibur, and Scizor, and then you just round out the draft really well. Hydreigon plus Baxcalibur is a little weird at first glance, but it is pretty nice. Just the fact that you can beat down fairies pretty easily and they help each other out. Scizor is going to be really good for that fairy resist rotom. He obviously has secondary fairy resist. Mutt can also beat down the fairies. There's very little wrong with your team. You have removal, you have hazards, you have momentum. You can get Iron Valiant in pretty easily. I like the support pieces just in general. It's tough to find things wrong with this team unless you don't like the Double Dragon. But I personally am a fan of these two being Double Dragon, especially with Terra Baxcalibur. Maybe you go non-Terra Dragon on your backs because you are Double Dragon, but otherwise, I love this team.
This is Horace?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you got Iron Belly Baxcalibur, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. That Baxcalibur is crazy good. I really, really like Baxcalibur when it can Terra. I don't like it without Terra, but with Terra, it's like so unbelievably hard to switch into. Like, since it's a pseudo, you're almost guaranteed a DD, and then it just kills something every time. Every time something dies. Again, I don't know if I like Terra Dragon, but again, I think Terra Dragon's solid. I wouldn't say that like it brings the team down. I just think that maybe a different Terra type would be a little bit more helpful. I think you have every role filled. I'm a big Tauros Paldea Water stan. I think that mon's very, very good. It has a really good defensive utility, as does the rest of your team. You just have really good bulk that also doesn't give up too much momentum, and that's what I like. I think this is a great balanced team. And that's I love balance.
I think one thing about this team too that I forgot to mention, he took advantage of OG Albino forgetting to tier Quilladin, so he got a 1-point Quilladin. So let's go. That's pretty. That's pretty sick.
Point on Quilladin. Well, he has an extra point.
Well, it's because it doesn't. I didn't add it to the board. I'll be honest. I did not add it to the board yet.
Dude, I'm gonna go crazy. I cannot find who this is. I've looked through all the docs twice now. I just don't know who it was.
All right, boys. Number 8. So let's just talk about the top 2 Pokemon right now. Dragapult and Terra Volcarona. Insane. And then you somehow got Iron Treads round 3. I'm not sure how you were able to get these Pokemon in conjunction with one another. Not only that, but you then followed that up with Screamtail and Urshifu Rapid. Top 5 on this team are just fantastic. You got a good Fairy, good Steel in the first 4 rounds, an amazing Terra user, and potentially the best Pokemon in the Dex. At what pick were you? 4th. Okay, I guess it's not that crazy that Palafin wanted to get tried. Iron Bundle. It's not that crazy, I guess. It's not that crazy. But Urshifu Rapid, again, just a fantastic Pokemon with Dragapult. Just the fact that it's a great momentum Pokemon. It baits in fairies. Can do big damage to them. It's just... It's an awesome Pokemon. And obviously you want a strong fighting alongside Dragapult. I think normally... Water and Fire, I agree, would be the correct choice on Volk. And maybe it is the correct choice because this is kind of your bulky water, and that is your downside. That is the one big downside of this team, and with a lot of teams this is your bulky water. Your Terramon is your bulky water. You can Terra Water and Quiver in those bulky water's face and eventually beat them. I would at least look at the matchups and see if Terra Grass would be a little bit better. You would potentially lose to Ice Beam then, so maybe not, but I would at least look at that. Other than that, I think that this is a really good team, and of course you have my favorite core in all of Pokemon in Volcarona Stomjom, the Frostmoth. So it's just a fantastic team all around. What do you think, Star?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I don't know how you got all these mons.
Thanks, Brody. Coffee time, boys.
I'd argue that like most of these mons could be picked up like around 4 at the latest. Like straight up. I think at the latest most of these mons are around 4, other than Overquill probably not around 4, Braviary not around 4, and Frostmoth not around 4. I could see every other mon being around 4 before, and you got a bunch of fellas like that. I think Dragapult plus Volcarona is just gonna win you games. Like I think it's like when you draft these two, you basically say, hey, I'm gonna win at least 3 weeks because at least one of them is gonna auto win, and that's kind of where the team lies. Again, I don't. Can you explain what is Terra Fire Volcarona? That's like, I think this is the second one we've seen.
Fire is actually just pretty unridiculous. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good type on Volcarona. It just makes it so like, strong.
It feels like you just really want to get like the free turn off, right? Like
So
free quiver dance off.
The thing with Volcarona is you get a lot more free quivers than you would anticipate, just because on special attackers, if you're faster than them, you just quiver. It doesn't matter. You quiver and you live a hit guaranteed.
I guess, yeah.
And then you do so much damage when you Terra Fire. It's just ridiculous. And you can also it enables like spec sets too. You know what I mean? And Fiery Dance obviously is really good. And Fire is just probably Fire, Water, Grass, and Fairy are the 4 best types for it. And I think you could debate any of those 4 for what types you pick, depending on the team composition. Isn't that something like this?
That's fair. Yeah, you don't really break. I guess it's fine then. Yeah, I still think you could probably get a better Terra type, but I don't have any complaints about this team. You don't have any bad Pokemon. Every mon I could see coming, and that's a pretty unique thing.
So far, yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say a pretty good, top 8 team.
Pretty good. So next up, let's see if they're on this one. I think they're Moltres. They are Moltres. Let me see if you can see them. I gotta move stuff for it. Making you coffee. Brody's roommate app is looking strong. That is true. That is true. All he needs to do now is clean Zappa's shit, and then he got the job immediately. I'm not gonna say that. Okay. Next team that we're gonna have here is gonna be Thriller, coming in hot at number 7. His team is fantastic. We have Baxcalibur, Iron Shreds, Quackle Ball, Zarude, Arcanine, Azelf, Toxtricity, Enamorus, Ursaring, Cryogonal. Another team top to bottom. Not a bad Pokemon. You could bring each and every single one of these Pokemon any given weeks. Obviously, Cryogonal is only here because of removal, but you already have the second best remover in the game, probably in Iron Shreds. Terra Electric Bax helps you with the one thing that you do kind of struggle with, which is Break Waters, but even then you don't necessarily struggle with that because you have Zarude plus Toxtricity. It just helps alleviate it just a little bit. The only thing that I don't love about this team is the fact you don't have a bulky water, and I think that's the only thing wrong with this team. And it feels like I'm just a broken record at this point because a lot of teams don't have bulky waters because in Paldea decks there's not very many, but that is the major downfall with this team. You can run Quaquaval bulkier, I guess, but you don't have a bulky water. But it is mitigated by the fact that normally you want a bulky water as an ice resist, and you have Arcanine for an ice resist, so it's not the biggest deal in the world with this team.
Okay, I gave up on trying to find the last person. I've looked through the docs 3 times a piece. I'm so sorry if I can't find you. I don't know what's up. But yeah, no, I think like I said it earlier, Terrabax is crazy. I think you have, yeah, I guess it's the same thing with the Volcarona. If you just want to have like Terra Dragon just really hard to kill, I'm here for it. Fuck it, I'm here for it. It's really strong. Then I think Iron Treads is really good. Yeah, I think you have really good removal, like overall, and that's something that not a lot of teams have. You have really good spinners. And you have a good dark type that can come in on the spin blockers. You got good momentum, you got good checks to everything. Overall, I really like the team, and you have a varied and a steal. That is
crucial.
Not something that we see often.
Those are
very
crucial.
Good. I do like your team a lot.
Yeah.
Only Mon, Cryogonal, don't know what it does. Actually, I know what it does, and it's not a lot. But I wouldn't really. I'm not gonna bring down your team because you have a Cryogonal, you know. So I think your team's great. Other than that,
Dondozo, Slowbro, and Slowking are really the only bulky waters in Paldea decks. That is true. They are some of the only viable bulky waters, but there are some other options. You have things like even Volcanion, Vaporeon, yeah, a couple of other options. So how feasible is it for every team to get one? I don't know, but it is still a crucial role in draft, regardless of the number that there were. Because even though there's a very low number of steals, every team needs a steal, regardless of if it's good or not. Regardless of if you get Earthworm or not, you need a steal type. That's like a necessity. That's like the first checkbox.
Yeah.
But the next team is going to be right beside. Number 6 is going to be Dashing. We're going to have Great Tusk, Zapdos, Volcanion, Gengar, and then a bunch of other dudes gooning out. So Great Tusk plus Zapdos and Gengar are just a fantastic core that when you say it out loud, you're like, well, these Pokemon aren't broken in draft. But you think about it, and Zapdos and Gengar cover really, really well for Great Tusk, Gengar breaking the fairies, for Great Tusk, Zapdos breaking the waters. And then you pair that with a Terra Volcanion, which I'm actually really interested to see. I don't even know if that is a bad option on your team. Great Tusk does appreciate Terra, but Volcanion, why not? I'm very curious to see how it pans out. And I think based on your team composition, you did definitely choose the correct types. I think making it a water, swaying it away from being a water type would have been very, very bad. But also having the option to go fairy if needed because your fairy is Diancie and it might have some bad matchups is also really, really good. It's hard to really fault this team for anything. You have rockers, you have removal, you have momentum, you have breakers on both sides, physical and special. This team, there's just nothing really wrong with it.
Yeah, I think overall, I think the team's like pretty solid. I'm not like blown away with it, but like I have no issues with it. So I think it's like to me so far, this has been the best team that does everything overall pretty solidly. That's kind of where I'm at with the team. I wouldn't make any changes to it, obviously. I think Altaria could change. I think Altaria has no right being on the team, but then again, I'm just finding something to complain about. I think Haxorus is really good, by the way. I think with the lack of fairy types, Haxorus has gotten much better, and I'm very excited to see you use it. Yeah, only other thing, maybe that could have been your Terra Cap instead. But I think honestly, if you could find something instead of like at 9 points or for Altaria, maybe you could find something. Does Altaria have Defog?
It actually kept Defog and it got Will-O-Wisp, so it's actually kind of usable.
Got Willow? Okay,
yeah.
Sure, yeah, no, Altaria's fine then. Never mind. If it has Defog, then it's fine. It's just a Defogger.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So we're in top 5 now, boys. We are in top 5 territory. These are the best 5 teams in the league, in my opinion. We're gonna start it off. We're just gonna jump right in. Number 5.
We're skipping the other 4.
The other 4 don't matter. Number 1 is, of course, Tony, because he says he has Lurantis and Haunter. You are top 5, actually, Tony. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Oh, he has. No way, I'm top 5. Yeah.
Lurantis gang.
Lurantis gang. So we have Blake here with the number 5 slot. And you're taking me back to Gen 6 with this team, man. You gave me a lot of nostalgia picking Volcarona, Azu, and Hydreigon. That is literally a core that even Bronzong and Breloom, I could have went back to Generation 6 and seen this team. But you decided to add the best Rapid Spinner to ever grace the face of the earth in Great Tusk. So your team, there's just not very much to complain about. You fill all the roles. The only big thing is going to be speed tiers. You have Alolan Person 115, which is fine, but a lot of matchups, it probably isn't going to be respected. I'll keep it a stack. Alolan Person blows. So other than that, your fastest mon is going to be Volcarona, which is a little tough, but you have like everything you could ask for. You have hazards, you have remover. You have the best remover in the game. I just said that, the best remover to ever grace the face of this earth. So really, the only thing you struggle with is going to be speed tiers, just straight up.
I got a notification.
Oh, someone sub? Oh, thank you so much, the Demon Milk Tank, for subscribing. And anybody who hasn't gotten a notification, it's because your subs are private. Thank you for subscribing anyway. I really appreciate it. We've gained about 10 subs throughout the stream, so shout out to you guys.
Not too bad, not too bad. I think, okay, so I think I like this Volcarona's Terras a lot. I love these Volcarona Terras. I think Terra is broken when it comes down to the effect that it's unpredictable. I think that's where I think that's what breaks Terra. I think Terra being unpredictable is what makes it like just too good. Outside of that, I think all of your mods are good. I think Iron Hands is heavily I think it's correctly priced, but I think it's underrated in the minds of a lot of people. It's just, it reminds me of like an Ursaluna type mon, where it always comes in and it should be at least taking like half a mon with it every time, because it's so bulky that it can pivot, and it's still strong enough that it can still break. So I really like your team. I like every mon on it. I think Grafai actually adds like a really good layer of like support that your team really, really enjoys with Encore. I think overall, yeah, an extra parting shot like to get into Great Tusk is always super, super nice. So I like your team a lot. I definitely think it deserves top 5.
Number 4, we're moving on to another man who was a mod. We're talking about Nick here. Our buddy Nick. Michael, outsynced, if you're still here. One of my longest friends of all time. What does Personal Lola do? It's fast and has parting shot. That's about it.
There you go. And honestly,
it lost knockoff, I think,
defense
right?
is pretty solid. I think it did.
Yeah,
but its defense is still pretty solid with the fur coat.
Yeah, and it's kind of bulky. What did I put Nick as? Oh, Michael. Yuck. So I helped Nick draft, so I'm a little bit biased. He has somehow, just like me, he got Tornadus Therian in round 2, which is ridiculous, but he also managed to get Heatran, and he put Heatran as his Terra, which I think it could be either way. I think it's a toss-up between the two. I don't think him making Heatran his Terra makes his team any worse than making Tauren his Terra, right? I think his team's still good either way. Iron Valiant plus Tornadus is ridiculous. You have Heatran, one of the best steals, if not the best steal in the decks. I can't even think of a better steal off the top of my head.
Best steal in the deck.
Yeah, Rotom plus Heatran, fantastic. An electric resist for the Tauren, a levitator for the Rotom. Like the synergy is perfect. Thank you so much, Mountain Man, for the subscription. I really appreciate it. Zoroark is really cool, and a Pokemon he really wanted to try. Gives a lot of offensive pressure, another special breaker, and momentum. The Slowbro plus Tornadus is just fantastic. Regen Core Spinner and Toedscroll Low Kicks is another good breaker that can help break things for Iron Valiant. Like the fairies that want to switch into it are going to take a lot of chip, and then Iron Valiant can potentially KO them with a Moonblast. And then Overcrow for the grounded poison and spike support. Every Pokemon on this team has a role. Every Pokemon on this team fills that role and does it very, very nicely. The only thing about this team that I don't love is the fact that it's very, very special heavy, and you can just run a light screen, because if you have Goldango specifically, you can just run light screen. But it's very, very physical, or very, very special. Not a lot of physical breakers. Iron Valiant might be the only one, but it can be mixed, and it can be both in both matchups and low kicks, I guess. So it's Overcoat physical. Yeah,
Overcoat. It's actually relatively strong too.
Overcoat too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall, I'd say this is top 3, correct?
It's 4th.
Okay, then the top 4 to me are teams that they do everything and they do it all pretty well. I'd say the only, like, again, the physical thing kind of sucked, but even then you have like options with physical Heatran. Tran still has a solid attack stat. It's like okay, it's not the worst. You don't have to worry about it getting burned ever, so it's gonna be consistently solid. I think it being the Terra Captain is actually, I think it's correct. I think Tauren is just fine as a flying type. I wouldn't stress about Terra Tauren. And then everybody else is just like, no bad mon. There's not a single bad Pokemon on this team. As you can see, he used all of his points and didn't draft all mons because he just wanted to have all good Pokemon. And I think that is much better than what most other people did. I like his approach to the draft the most. Yeah, no, his team's great. And it was really hard to rank these 1 through 4 guys. It really was. Like 1 through 13 was harder to rank, but once we got down to 1 through 4, it was extremely hard to rank. So number 3, we're coming in. We have another mod. Shout out to you guys again. This couldn't have been possible without our mods.
we have a fantastic mod team. We're gonna go ahead and go on over here to Corey, Lego, Roaring Moon, Corviknight, Cinderace, Sandy Shocks, and Screamtail. So if he had Torkoal, this team would be set, right? Like this team would be gassed up. Yeah, Dashing, you were ranked 6th overall. But Roaring Moon plus Corviknight plus like just the momentum. First of all, the momentum on this team is ridiculous. You have a good Screamtail, good Fairy type, which I'm not sure how you got that round 5 with how much Fairies are valued. That's fantastic. You have a good defensive backbone with Screamtail and Dondozo. You have all important roles filled from what I could tell. Other than a grounded poison, but you have Corviknight, who is the best defogger probably in the game from what I can remember of what kept defog, and it's a steel type and a flying type, doesn't care about T-spikes at all. You come in on those, defog goes away. So that being your biggest downside is not that big of a deal. You're just not missing much with this team. You have literally everything you could ask for.
Yep, and just like I said with Nick's team, last pick, I think you have everything and I think you do it well. Actually, I would maybe put this team above Nick's as well, personally. Obviously, they're right next to each other. I think this team just has a little bit more depth to it rather than Nick's team. Nick, you kind of know what 6 is going to bring in a matchup since he has, it's kind of streamlined. I think your team has so many different options that you get to work with. Like, just like Sandy Shocks, is it going to be offensive? Is it going to be spice? Is it going to be screens? Then you have Corviknight. Is it going to be bulky? Is it going to be offensive? Roaring Moon, is it going to be setup? Is it going to be breaking? Is it going to be Scarf? You just have so much depth. Like, it's so hard to decide how to prep versus your team. This looks like a nightmare to prep versus, and I'm glad I don't have to do it.
Yeah, and I agree. I didn't say this, but I do think you chose the correct Terra types on Roaring Moon too, probably. Oh, yeah. I think you could maybe switch Flying, but I do think Steel was definitely the correct choice, yeah.
Flying is, I like Flying a lot.
I mean, it could have also been Dark, right? Because Dark's just hard to switch into. Like, there are a lot of good options for Roaring Moon.
Yeah.
Fire too. But we have 2 teams left, and we just jumped up to 50 viewers a second ago, by the way. A couple dropped out. Tony, actually, I'm not ranking myself. So you are up in the top 2. There are 2 people, and you're one of them, unfortunately, which I'm kind of regretting my decision now because you've been talking the most shit.
Oh my God.
But we have 2 people left. And I just want to let everybody guess who we think the top team is, who they think the top team is. We have 2 teams remaining, and those teams are Tony of the Zapdos division. We got over here chien-pao, Lando, Heatran, Screamtail, Quaquaval, just a good team top to bottom. Both of these teams are going to be very, very solid. And then the other team that we have is going to be another member of the Zapdos division, I believe. Oh, wait, is Tony Zapdos? Yeah. Is this? Oh, he's right here. I'm blind. Right here, Flapple. So we can actually see both of those teams on screen right now. Roaring Moon, Iron Scizor, Zapdos, just a crazy hyper offensive team. I want to know who you guys think is the best team right now. Let me know. I did not do myself. If I did rank myself, I would be first though. Just so we're all on the same page. Just I'm just a step above everybody.
Of course he is.
Of course I am.
Of course he is. What number are we on currently?
Top 2.
2 and 1. 2 and 1. So
I like to joke around with John. You know, I mess around with him. He does just have the best team. Y'all let him get like 3 round pick ones. You know, or like top 5 picks.
Ego was ranked, I think, 4th, right? Or was he the one we just talked about?
I think we just talked about him.
No, Lego was 3. Lego was 3. So
is that who he's just at? Right?
Yeah, someone just asked about that. Are the divisions ranked? No, right now they're just random to get enough people in. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about these teams. So number 2 is gonna be Flapple. Flapple's team is fantastic. It's probably one of the best hyper offensive teams that I've seen this generation, at least. And I said during the draft, but this is just one of my favorite teams. The top 5 Pokemon in conjunction with one another fit so perfectly. It's like a puzzle. It's like a glove, even. Like these Pokemon, you have hazards, you have removal, you have momentum, you have speed tiers, you have breakers, you have setup options, you have a special breaker, a physical breaker, you have a steel type. The only thing you're really lacking from these top 5 is going to be a fairy type, and I'm now realizing that on the entire team you're lacking a fairy type. But I do think that maybe you could switch up Roaring Moon to be Terra Fairy. I think that was my option that I wrote down, right? I did, yeah, I wrote that down. I think if you change Roaring Moon from flying to fairy, I think this team is perfect. I think there's very little that you could do to fix this team with the mods remaining. I think Pikatron plus Iron Lead is interesting. It's not my favorite in the world, but I do think it gives a lot of potential there. And I think Gothitelle is pretty cool to remove Pokemon like specifically fairy types that Roaring Moon doesn't like to deal with. I think overall, this is the picture of hyper offense. This is what a hyper offensive team should look like.
Yeah, so I even without the fairy, actually, it's gonna be weird, but I think this is the only team that I've seen so far that gets away without having a fairy. I think it's perfectly fine without a fairy at the moment, because you just cover everything that a fairy would need to. Beating fighting types, you're good. You have Zapdos literally speeds fighting types, and Gothitelle traps all of them. you just get away with everything. I don't even think you need to go Terra Fairy on Roaring Moon. You can if like you wanted to have like an offensive fairy, but I think you get away with everything on your team perfectly. I think this is also the best Goth team we have seen. I think Goth has been perfect. It's perfect on his team. It traps everything that you need to, and forcing items off of like mons like that check Roaring Moon or Iron Moth and Zapdos. Those matchups, like say they have the best fairy type in the tier, you threaten its item. It needs to be Shed Shell, and then you just run a bunch of U-turn, and then you're fine. Like you just trap everything else. I think this is like a phenomenal team. I love this team. It's a great second pick.
I think it's a great team, but I think the number one team is unfortunately my boy Tony Tagi. I love you, Tony. Your team is just so good. You have chien-pao, Landorus, and Heatran. You just can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong with these top 3 Pokemon. You pair that with something like Screamtail and Quaquaval. You have good momentum. You just, Tony, it pains me to rate this, seeing all the shit that you've been talking in the chat, but you have all roles. You have good fairies, special breakers, physical breakers, good momentum in the chien-pao. You have a bulky water. You have good speed tiers. The only thing that this team is missing is not having Lurantis on the team. Other than that, it's a good team.
No, Lurantis is pretty solid. No, I'm just kidding. I think it lost Defog, right?
No. That's the reason he picked it.
Lurantis is fine then. 2-point Defogger is really solid. Same thing with Altaria earlier. But no, I think so. I really want. I almost got chien-pao, Lando T, Heatran, and I think Lando T, Heatran is just a great pairing. And then you threw chien-pao on top of it somehow. And so I think your top 3 are probably the best top 3 in the entire all divisions outside of John's team. I think it's hard to argue that. So no, you have a good fairy type, good steel type. Like you have like the best combination of a good fairy, good steel out of everybody actually, including John. I think you have better steel type, and your fairy is solid. So I think
please don't bring Lurantis. Just don't bring Lurantis.
You can bring.
Don't bring Lurantis.
You also want to bring Tatsugiri every week.
My favorite part about your team, Tony, is the fact that you have 3 waters. I reside with that heavily, and I like it quite a bit. You have 3 removers, none of which are good, but that's fine. That's fine.
I think you have 2 really good removers and a Quaquaval.
Okay, well, guys, that is going to be the power rankings. We missed somebody again in post. If we find out who it is, I don't know. I have no idea. If we do it in post, they're ranked 15th. So congratulations to whoever we forgot. I apologize again. Thank you guys all for coming out. This stream popped off. What did we end at? How many likes did we end at? It was above 50, right? 52 likes, which is fantastic. Way more than I anticipated. We had like a concurrent 50 viewers, which was fantastic. I literally cannot thank you guys enough. Yeah, I guess starting next Wednesday is what I'm anticipating. We're going to do a weekly watch along of all of the games. So be sure to catch that. I'm at least going to be streaming once a week. We're going to be having WPF matches Friday, BBR matches Saturday, and then the team builders for those the 2 days prior. And then we're also going to have Kurt and I doing a podcast within the coming weeks. So look forward to that. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I really appreciate you. Do you have any final words, Star?
Shout out 61 likes.
61 likes? We just got 9 more likes?
61 likes.
Shout out to you guys. You guys are fantastic.
Yeah, I'm in WPF. Please watch a video or 2. I'm not my draft analysis. Don't watch that one. You guys can just wait for my week 1. My week 1's gonna be good. That's about it.
If you guys have not already, Star is going to be in the top right-hand corner, and I'll link Star right now in the chat. Let me pull you up. What, in the Broadster? And the Broadster for making me a coffee, and the Broadster for making me a coffee. So if you guys did enjoy Star,
that's what I look like in real life.
Starfish. If you guys want to,
that's me.
Oh,
that's my video.
If you guys want to, go ahead and check out Star right now.
Yippee!
And of course, Brody for making me a coffee. Shout out Brody. Odds are Pokemon. All ones out come up whenever you type in odds are. How do you fuck you? Charlotte.
Just type in odds are.
Slitherwings. I think this will get it too.
Just do at odds are.
At odds are. Okay, this is a very long outro. Yay! Yay! Brody. Okay, that's gonna be the stream. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And for now, guys.